Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
The New Year's holiday was relatively quiet across Sulphur Springs and Hopkins County. According to local law enforcement, only a handful of drivers were found to be intoxicated. According to Sulphur Springs Chief of Police Jim Bayuk, local officers stepped up patrol using police reserves, and Bayuk was on duty during the holiday.
Yeah, I was very impressed with New Year's. We had several officers out working and didn't get many calls. I think best I can recall, 2 people called wanting to ride home, and we came out there and picked them up and took them home, got them home safely. Everybody, as far as I know, did a real good job, used common sense, and was very responsible, so I thought it went really well.
This seemed to be a holiday when a lot of people just stayed home.
You know, it's kind of ironic that you said that, because about 10:30, 11 o'clock, New Year's Eve night, you thought it was 4 o'clock in the morning. There was hardly any traffic out. Now, when midnight come around, people leaving their parties or wherever they were at, traffic kind of picked up, but as far as I know, we didn't have any accidents. It was just a slow night. I was very, 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 very happy.
Had you stepped up patrol any for the holiday?
Yes, I did. Not only with our existing police force, we had several of our reserves come out and rode and kind of put 2 people in a car, helped out. But all in all, the reserve force was a big help. Excuse me, in reinforcing our patrol.
I understand you were also out working the streets that evening.
I took it upon myself to get out there and ride, just to kind of see what happened, and answer a few calls, and I just wanted to be available, just to see what was going on out there on New Year's Eve. And like I said, I was very impressed how the people conducted themselves, and it went real smooth, real quiet, and I just have nothing but positive things to say about New Year's Eve.
And I know that here at the first of the year, you began looking at all the activities that are coming up throughout this year, and basically making plans for what you're going to do in the days ahead. Are you looking at making any changes to patrol this summer now that Coleman Park will be open and baseball and softball fields will be utilized there? Or are you going to kind of move everything out of Buford Park to Coleman Park, or what?
I'm going to be getting with our patrol captain Norman Collier and our officer Brandon Stridlin, who is over our reserve force. We're going to need the reserve force to help us out with Coleman Park as far as the manpower. We're also going to look into utilizing the amount of patrol. We also have an ATV, which I'm sure everybody knows. But as far as activities coming up this spring for the ballparks, and whether it be at the Buford Park or Coleman Park, we'll just try to meet them as they come.
When you look at the attitude that's being reflected now, it seems as though that with the holiday, of course, I'm sure that one of the reasons why things kind of slowed down a little bit, around the police force, but it seems as though that, the reports that are coming in and so forth are showing a slowdown to an extent in crime. Do you think that with the September 11th stuff and moving on from there that things like this are becoming a bit quieter anyway?
I believe that since September 11th, I think more people have looked at themselves and their families and realized how precious life is. Yeah, you're always going to have people that commit crimes, but I noticed that our calls have gone down on any given night. It's kind of hard for me to say what kind of calls we would get, but overall, ever since that day, that crime is down, and I think people are more appreciative of their families, of what they have, and looking towards the future, more time spent with the kids and just doing family things.
Millsap told KSST Channel 18 News Wednesday that Commissioners Court will carry out a number of projects during 2002. Several items are on the court's agenda in early spring.
What we're looking at is we're on pretty well on a time frame of some things that we're going to do in the month of January, February, and March of this year. One of the things we're going to work on is some different policies of the court. We're going to work on an agenda of items. One in particular is we're looking at imaging all of our records in the county clerk, district clerk offices, and we're going to be talking about that and how we can creatively come up with the funding that would necessary to do that work. Because when we move back in the courthouse, the clerk, one of the clerks is going to go back, and most likely it's going to be the district clerk. So that's one of the things. The other thing we're going to review is our personnel policy. We're going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb, see some problems maybe that maybe things that we want to change, and fine-tune that for our employees. The other thing we're going to work on our employees is our STEP program. We ran into some constructive things that we want to do in the STEP program so that we are paying our employees what on a competitive rate what other counties are paying, and also with what in the private sector, so that we don't have any problems with our sheriff's department, we don't have any problems with our clerical help, and even our hands out in the precincts. So that's one of the things we're going to work on. We're also going to work closely with the Civic Center Board this coming year in helping the communications problems that we might have had in the past. We want to work with the Civic Center Board in resolving any issues that might come up. We have a temporary manager in place with Joey Baker, and Joey's doing an outstanding job, and then that'll be one of the things that we'll be discussing in the next few weeks. Other things that the court will be working on is, of course, with seeking any monies that we can get to help come in and help us financially with grants. We've been had a real good program this last year, and that we've gotten a lot of grants. For example, when we had an ice storm last year, we got from the FEMA people $143,000 that we put back in the county, each one of the precincts. So we're going to be looking for monies that would help us with our road and bridge program, so the commissioners can continue to do a good job in that area. Another thing that we're going to be working on would be working with all the elected officials and helping us collect fines and fees. One of the things that we did last year that was very successful is going after people that owe the county money. There's a lot of money that's owed through the county clerk, even the Justice of the Peace offices, and the Justice of the Peace have a pretty good hand on it. But in the county clerk's office, what we want to try to do is work with our clerk in collecting any outstanding fines through the sheriff and the constable's offices. And last year, when we had meetings with these various department heads, we were able to collect a lot more money. And of course, the other thing too is we'll go after those delinquent taxes too, like the school is doing. We want to try to collect as much money there as we can, because when we get ready to figure our budget in July, and we place that budget into effect, last year we were able to cut our tax rate 0.5 cent. But the evaluations went up, so we were able to maintain and able to give our employees a raise. We were able to accomplish a lot of things in that we didn't have to have a lot more money to operate, and we continue to operate at the courthouse, getting it completed. In fact, with the courthouse, we're right on budget with it. So, for that to be to be completed in July and move back up there.
One of the things that you have to look at in county government is with life becoming as fast-paced as it is, and with county government having to deal with so many different things, you're having to streamline county government in many ways, are you not?
That's exactly right. We have to try to keep up with the times, that is in the way of technology. New technology is coming out all the time. Computers are constantly changing. We bought computers in the past, and before you get them started, you find that you're behind the 8 ball a little bit on a computer program. We're constantly updating, and so we're doing real well in this area. But you have to keep up with what the changes are in the community, with the way that society changes. And when I look back on my career in county government, I can see a big change in just the last 15 years.
With the changes that are coming to county government, this basically puts a heavy administrative responsibility on those who are a part of Commissioners Court, the various precinct commissioners. There was a time when, basically if they could fix a road, they had a better chance of being elected. But today, you have to look more at the administrative end from the standpoint of decisions that are made regarding budget, finance, and again, streamlining the government.
Yes, and that's true. I've got 2 commissioners that will retire after this year, and they have been invaluable. They have just been such a treasure with their experience that they've had on the Commissioners Court. You can't just elect a person just for one term. It takes more than just one term to learn the facets of how county government works. One of the things that makes it work is that you've got a good different diversity on the court. And we both all work together. We have work sessions to kind of explain things so that we can kind of look into depth. You just don't just react because you have to react. You have to take and study an issue so that it properly is administrated so that the public will accept it, and then it will be good policy for the people of the county.
This past year, we have seen more of an interaction between governmental entities, the county, the school, the city, the hospital, involved in a big land swap deal, and before that we've seen some other activity of interlocal workings. Are we anticipating these government entities, at least from the county's perspective, are you looking at trying to set up more joint meetings with them for work sessions to try to deal with specific issues that are faced within the governing sphere here?
Yes, I am. You know, when I came on the Commissioner's Court 3 years ago, we had a controversy that came up about the fire department, and it broke down where that the county was going to have to create its own fire department. We've continued to support our volunteer fire departments around the county. In fact, this last year in our budget, we gave them a $100 raise a month. That created a working relationship with the city. We negotiated several different times with the city. We also have worked with the city on, like, the overpass for I-30. Then on the land swap, we worked with the school in order to maintain this property here with the land swap so that there was no money exchange. What it was actually done was that the city and the county and the school and the hospital worked together for that land swap because we needed property out by the Civic Center. The city had it, and then they wanted this other property with the Cannon Craft, and we were all owed money on that Cannon Craft property, so it was a real smooth transition. And just recently, the mayor asked me and one of the commissioners to be on a committee, a safety committee for the interstate highway system. We've met. We plan a meeting probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks once we get a response back from TxDOT about the safety improvements with on and off ramps, with the one-way, two-way traffic on the service roads, as well as overpass safety issues where we can better get people on and across the interstate. So it's been a working relationship that I think that I've really enjoyed, and I feel like the Commissioner's Court has enjoyed working with the City Council, the Hospital Board, and the School Board. In fact, we couldn't do the courthouse restoration that we're doing right now with the grant that we got from the state if it hadn't been for the School Board stepping up and saying we want to help the county. So working together, it's created a great atmosphere for all of us, and we look forward to working with everybody in the near future on any issues that come up. And I think that with my temperament, the court's temperament, we can work with anybody and get things done in a positive way for the community.
Are you basically going to do this on an issue-by-issue basis, or will you be working creatively in looking at maybe setting some goals for things that you can do together?
Well, it's going to be a combination of those things. We have got some issues that are on the burner that we share with the city, and those issues are being worked up at this time, and then we're going to be working on some in the future. In the next coming months, I think you're going to see that I'm going to be stepping forward to come up with those issues that the city and the county can work together on. And if there's any negativism, we want to work that out too, but we also would want input from the public. And in order to strive forward, you've got to have some constructive criticism to make things work. And then you implement a plan. And then once we all work together with the city management, the city staff, the council over there at the city, and the Commissioner's Court, I think you're going to see that things are going to be a lot better for the future, because we're trying to bring in new industry. In order to bring in new industry and new businesses, we've got to take care of those people that's here, that's paying the taxes. And we've got to work with everybody, and we're going to do that.
I grew up in Hopkins County, and one of the things that I learned living in a rural area here in Hopkins County was, as goes the city of Sulphur Springs, so goes the county. This county is a one-city county from the standpoint of the size of the city. I know there are other incorporated cities within the county, but as far as the impact in the county, Sulphur Springs is of substantial size and has the strongest impact in the county.
Yes, it is, and it's our county seat, and this is where our courthouse is, and this is where our seat of county government is. But Cumbie, Como, Tyra, and all the smaller cities are just as important. I know I have served on the COG board the last 3 years. In fact, they've asked me to be the treasurer, and in that capacity I've worked to get grants not only for Sulphur Springs but also for Como and Picton, and also for the city of Cumbie. And with Cumbie and Como getting some grants from the state through the COG, we're going to continue to help these small cities as well as the city of Sulphur Springs. I've asked the city manager that if he submits a grant for infrastructure improvements, such as some of the streets here in the city of Sulphur Springs, that I'll push to help get those streets for the citizens of here of Sulphur Springs. Just like that I met with the city council members when we met with Max Sandlin to get the overpass out at Radio Road. The county wants to help the city, and we want to help all the cities out in the county and the people too. And since I've been working with the Commissioner's Court, we've got a road and bridge program that I think is doing great. We're fixing to, I think in the near future, go online with a computer system to help the commissioners to work any management problems that they might have, so that we have it on a computer program. We're going to try to work on improvements with road and bridges. We've got some bridges that are coming up with state support. We want to work real close with TxDOT, with our local resident engineers, as well as the parish district. But one of the things that this court has been able to do is that we've made a lot of friends in Austin with the legislators, with the senators. Bill Ratliff has been real friendly toward Hopkins County, as well as David Kane. And these individuals and representatives have helped Hopkins County, and we anticipate that we'll do so in the future. One of our good friends on the Commissioner's Court in state government is the Texas Highway Commission, TxDOT. The commissioner down there is a good friend of ours, and he's planning on coming up here and reviewing some of the roads and the railroads so that he can help us. And we've worked with him on legislation too this last session legislature, so it looks real good in the future for Hopkins County.
Millsap also serves as the chairperson for the Sulphur Springs Transportation Safety Committee, appointed by Mayor Bernice Fitzgerald. County Judge Millsap said the committee has a number of questions for the Texas Department of Transportation.
Well, what we've asked some questions. We've asked some questions that the citizens have submitted to us about one-way and two-way traffic, about on and off ramps, about the congestion and the safety problems that we found out there. One of the things that the board, I think, has come up with is that we have found that we've taken a mess and made a bigger mess. And what we want to try to do is try to resolve any messes out there that we can possibly do. Now, one thing, the one-way traffic has benefited the flow of traffic on the interstate, but it's caused complications with getting across Broadway Street. And that's an issue that I think is really important at this point, is trying to figure ways of doing some other roads, alternative roads in that area. Keith Klein attended our meeting, and he came up with a good proposal about a service road south of the interstate. And that's something that we need to look at. We need to look at a lot of different alternative ways to resolve problems in our infrastructure in the county, as well as in the city. And the county will work with the city in trying to resolve any of these problems.
In the past, there's been discussion about extending Highway 11 over to Arbela Road, maybe even over to 19, from where it intersects 154 across. Are you looking at resurrecting that thought?
Yes, I think so, because I think one of the things that we're looking at now is that in the past we were looking at a south loop, and a south loop would be somewhere around Switchboard Road or maybe in the Gaffers Chapel area. Now we're looking at more of a realistic plan that we need something just south of the interstate that would help the flow of traffic, and that if you're going one way on the service roads, you've got an alternative by having an avenue that would connect to, so that you could go back the other way. In other words, if you can go say east on the south service road, there's no way of getting over the overpass and going back east on the other service road. So if we had some kind of a alternative boulevard south of the interstate that would run both ways of traffic, the problem is that with Broadway Street you can't get over to Lake Street overpass, and then you can't get down to College Street without going down the service road. So we've got to work at some alternative plans to help relieve any situation out there.
Millsap stated that he's committed to working with TxDOT in developing future roadways. Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
And sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
The Junior Market Livestock Show gets underway tonight, 7 p.m. at the Regional Civic Center. The Junior Market Livestock Show features projects shown by 4-H and FFA members from across Hopkins County. Tonight at 7 p.m., the sheep and poultry divisions will be judged. Friday night, it's the swine show in the main arena at the Regional Civic Center. And Saturday morning at 9 a.m., the goat and steer show. Also on Saturday at 5 p.m., a stew for those who will bid at this year's Sale of Champions. And at 6 p.m., the auction. The event for Hopkins County 4-H and FFA members will once again take the top 100 projects to auction on the final night of the event. Proceeds from the sale are often used by exhibitors for future college expenses, according to event organizers. For some exhibitors, like Lacey Griffith, president of the North Hopkins FFA, the goal is to regain money spent on the project. Lacey will show her steer, Red. Red is an Angus and Maine Anjou mix who loves to be under a fan, even in cold weather, and he loves to eat, according to Lacey.
We've had cattle all my life, and this is my first year to show a steer, but I've always had heifers.
Well, how well have you done with the heifers in the past?
Well, I've gotten grand AOB and at other shows, but not Hopkins County.
Okay, so a win at Hopkins County would be kind of nice.
Oh yeah, it'd be real nice.
Well, now, are you in 4-H FFA?
I'm my president of my FFA, which I go to North Hopkins, and I'm a member of the 4-H here.
So, with all of this background with cows and so forth, this makes this a very special project for you, though.
Oh yeah, it's going to be hard and I have to get rid of him.
Well, tell us about what you've done in preparing for this show.
Well, I get him up every day and I blow him off, then I wash him, and then I blow him off again and get him dry. Then I stick him in there under that fan.
Now, as cold as it is, and you still have a fan blowing on it.
Yeah, it makes him grow hair.
Which is a big part of the show, isn't it?
Yeah, and he likes it where it's cool.
One of the things that you have to worry about is showmanship. Have you been practicing with Red here?
I've only taken to 2 shows, and I've done showmanship there, but I haven't won. But I've won a bunch of showmanships in the past with my heifers, though.
All right. Now, with showing him, obviously you're looking for an opportunity to get into the Sale of Champions, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes.
How important is that?
It's very important. I need to make my money back.
Well, you have invested quite a bit. Well, as healthy as he looks, you've really invested a lot.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah. Now, tell us what he is.
He's a Maine Anjou and Angus. He's 7/8 Angus and 1/8 Maine.
Now, how long have you had him?
I've had him since probably March of last year. I got him from Roy and Wyvon King.
All right. So, first of all, you get a chance to purchase the animal, and then you have to feed it.
Oh yes, that feed bill's expensive.
So basically, for you, it's a matter of trying to earn back the money that you've invested in it.
Yeah, it is. Plus, you have the cost of the steer and plus the feed, so you're trying to mainly make back the cost of the steer and a little bit of the feed.
You know, I'm assuming that from what I've heard in the past, that the steers are actually the most expensive in order to care for in the show.
Yeah, anybody says it's not expensive taking care of a cow, they must not know how to take care of one, because it's very expensive.
Well, with the 5 different divisions that you have here, this does turn out to be one of the more expensive. Now, this is a healthy animal here. How hard has it been to control him at times?
Oh, he's just like a big puppy dog. He's so lazy and nothing just bothers him, really.
Now, you will have to have him at the Civic Center Arena when?
I can take him Friday night if I want to, but I think I'm going to take him Saturday morning.
And be closer to the show that way.
Uh-huh.
In getting ready for the show in the final minutes or hours here, are you going to do anything different with him?
Well, I think I'm just going to blow him off and spray his legs up and then go in the show ring.
You know, that sounds really simple, but it's not.
No.
Do you know how many, or do you know how many to anticipate that you'll be competing against?
I think Larry Spadlin said there was about 28 steers in the show. That's probably the most there's ever been.
So if you win and you make back the money that it costs you, if you make any extra, what are you going to do with that?
Put it up in my savings and go buy another one.
Now, what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
So you've got another year to show.
Uh-huh.
All right, and then after that, what do you plan to do?
I'm going to go to college and major in agri-science and be an ag teacher.
Thursday at noon, those who participated in last year's auction were honored at a luncheon. Dan Brown served as Master of Ceremonies.
Our high-volume buyer for 2001 was Farm Country Incorporated, Ricky Frazier. Now, Ricky, I'm going to recognize you today, but you got to be there Saturday night to pick this up. Thank you. We really appreciate the help that Farm Country does for us there, and Ricky, their generous support. This time I'm going to ask J.C. Jaggers to come speak to you. J.C. is a student at Sulphur Bluff High School. She's a FFA member and 4-H member, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about her project and what she does. J.C.
We are here today to serve you and thank you for the support of the Northeast Texas Livestock Association's Market Show. It is because of your past support that the youth of Hopkins County can continue their livestock projects and can participate in many other educational endeavors. I know how important your support has been. I have participated in the Market Show for the past 4 years. Now that I am a senior, I can look back and honestly say that if it had not been for the wonderful businessmen and women that have attended our auctions, I would not have been able to participate in many of the activities that I have. For example, just within the last 7 months, I have had the opportunity to attend the Washington Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C., the state and national FFA convention, and the National Leaders Engaged in Angus Development Conference, and also the National Junior Angus Show held in Colorado. As I prepare for college, I know that I will be successful because I have had the support of many individuals. Your contributions have definitely made a difference. On behalf of the youth of Hopkins County, I would like to thank you again for your past support. Please enjoy your meal. If there is anything you need, please let us know. Today is your day. We are here to serve you. Thank you.
Most, if not all, of these youth that are here today serving you will be involved in our show and sale out here. And of course, if their animal ranks in the top group, then they'll actually be in the sale portion of that. So if you have an opportunity before you leave here today, you might visit with some of these young people and find out a little bit about their project. I'm sure they'd be glad to share that with you. This time I'm going to let Keith Shurtleff, who's the Vice President at Alliance Bank, come and share some thoughts with you. Keith has been involved in our NETLA organization in the past and a big supporter of our group. Keith Shurtleff.
Thanks. You know, Dan said that we were here to express appreciation to the buyers, and certainly that's the case. We're going to have some fun. But the committee's not dumb, and they're not going to pass up a chance to put the bite on you, and they've picked me to do that. I'll tell you, I had to ask for a favor from Dan in the last 2 weeks, and he said, yeah, but here, I need you to do something for me. I've been associated with livestock shows for over 30 years. I've been associated with this one for 12 years. I have never been associated with one that didn't do a great deal of good in our community. I want to share with you some thoughts today because I know most of you are going to be there, you're going to buy, and I want you to think in the next 2 or 3 days about your level of commitment in the sale. Obviously, we're hoping that everybody can do everything that they possibly can in support of these youth. But when you look at the kids that are here today, when you look at the kids that are going to be there on Saturday, you're going to see kids that deserve your support. So many times in our life, we see kids get recognition, get news time, get brought to the forefront of our attention because of things they do that are bad, things that are not acceptable because they're in trouble. They've no respect for authority. They've no respect for people who are trying to help them. And unfortunately, the kids that we deal with are not like that, and so they don't get as much press. We'll see kids that do great things. JC mentioned several things that she has done over the last year, some of these outstanding things, and yet you probably didn't know about that. This is a chance for you to reward kids who deserve your help. It's also a chance for you to help this community. When you look at the kids that are going to be there and you think about them and kids that you have helped in the past, I'll try to identify how many are going to stay here in Hopkins County and be a successful part of this community. There are going to be lots of them. There are several in this room who have been involved in this endeavor in the past and have come back here to be a successful member of this community. And by your support of them, you're helping them to do those things and helping to build our community. And then finally, I want you to think about yourself for just a little bit, because we can help our kids and we can help our community, but you can help yourself by participating in this. It's no secret. The committee does a really good job of putting the buyers' names out as many times as they possibly can. You get advertising. The community knows that you're interested in our young people and that you're trying to help the community. You as a business get the advantage of being out there, showing people that you care, and then drawing people into your business because they care. As we said, some of these kids are going to be here for a long time to come, and they're going to do business with you if you make the right impression. So I'd encourage you over the next 2 days to consider your commitment to this organization, to this sale. I hope that you'll look deeply in your pockets. I hope that you'll try to understand how important it is for these kids and for our community that we have a very successful sale, and bring all the money you can when you come Saturday night.
The average permitted cost of building a new home in Sulphur Springs during 2001 was $128,082. That's up from an average of just under $101,000 in the year 2000. Johnny Vance, Community Development Director for the City of Sulphur Springs, said building permits issued in 2001 exceeded the year 2000 totals.
Basically, we held our ground as for the prior year. We didn't have any growth to speak of, but we didn't lose any ground either. We permitted approximately $10 million in building valuations on permits in 2000 and approximately the same thing in 2001.
Was these permits basically concentrated in a particular area, or were they spread out across the state?
No, they're pretty well diversified, and these cover everything from permits for new single-family homes to commercial development, and even permits for some accessory structures for residents, such as patios and driveways, etc., and signs and so forth. But no, there's no really particular point of concentration. It doesn't appear to be. It's pretty much citywide.
Over $1 million in permits were issued in each of 6 months during 2001. Over $1.6 million for 4 projects were permitted for multiple family during 2001, compared to only $275,930 permitted in the year 2000. Commercial permits were issued for $1 million less than in the year 2000. Permitted repairs and other miscellaneous work in 2001 was just over $500,000 more than in 2000. Vance states that 2002 looks promising based on studies being made by service-oriented businesses such as Chili's Restaurant and others.
There was not, I don't have the actual breakdown here in front of me this morning, but there were a few new businesses, mostly local development. We had a couple new insurance offices go in, I recall, and some smaller retail businesses go in. And we had quite a bit of remodeling and additions to existing businesses.
When you look at 2002, are there any things that have already begun to happen that give you a promise of continued development in this next year?
Yes, the residential construction seems to be holding up pretty well. I'm really surprised. I thought it might have already shown more signs of a slowdown than it has. It's has slowed down some, but it seems like it's going to hold fairly steady at this point in time anyway. We've got some prospective commercial development that's proposing to locate here in Sulphur Springs. Chili's, for instance, has been looking at a location on service road in Broadway, there at the old Holiday King. Don't have anything permitted at this point, but they have been visiting with different engineers and site surveyors for that location for that purpose. So hopefully that'll come to pass. We've had some visits from some other development preliminary stages. Just don't know, don't feel like I should divulge it too much at this time on those because they're still looking at different properties. But hopefully a lot of those may come on here. So if the economy stabilizes and does well, I think they'll locate here.
Would those be service-oriented businesses or industry or what?
Most of these have been service-oriented businesses. EDC mostly works with the industrial type proposals here, and then they come to us as they get closer to actually bringing them on board. But and I know they've been looking at some proposal locations here, but they're a lot more informed in that area early on than I am. But most of the commercial, retail service businesses and stuff, they approach this office first and go from that point.
Do you find that sometimes people try to do some remodeling or some changes without coming through the city to do permits?
Yes, occasionally that does become a problem. Not too often, but less than in the past. It seems like we don't have a problem as much as we used to, but occasionally it does come up. We hate that because it's just a lot of times there's what would have been simple issues to resolve become more difficult to resolve if they've gotten underway before they've visited with us and seen what was required.
How do you find out that somebody's doing that kind of thing?
A number of ways. A lot of times the inspectors, of course, are always on the lookout, so to speak, when they're out doing inspections. They look to see what else might be going on in the area. And oftentimes a phone call from a neighboring business or residents questioning some activity. And then we'll go out to investigate and discover that this is taking place.
What does it take to get permitted to do remodeling or to build or whatever?
For residential remodeling, it's pretty straightforward. If we were doing an addition that's going to add on to the house, then we need a little site plan so we can check for building setback requirements and so forth. A few little preliminary sketches, nothing that has to be developed by an architect or an engineer. I mean, homeowners can create these documents themselves. Businesses, the more or brand new construction, new homes, we do require a little more detail naturally with those, and a lot of times those do need to be developed, created by some professional architect or an engineer or something to that extent. Submit those documents, we review those documents for compliance with the code and then zoning issues, make sure they're in the proper zoning for that proposed use, and utilities and so forth and so on, and we issue a permit.
Permits based on kind of like a percentage of the cost of what they're doing, or?
Our permits are broken down in a couple different ways. On our fencing permits, sign permits are just a flat fee, $20, which is a very minimal fee. It doesn't really even cover the cost of it to process that permit. Some of the most of the commercial development is based off of square footage. We don't permit based off of value that much, based off of size.
What is the benefit to the individual to achieve a permit? I mean, with city codes as they are, does this basically assure that individual that what is being done will be meeting code?
Yes, that gives them several assurances. I mean, besides just life safety issues for the occupants of the building itself, I mean, it gives them some assurances that they'll have a structure that'll sustain less damage, most likely during some of your weather events, storms, etc. I mean, our codes require that they be built to withstand 70-mile-an-hour winds and stuff, for example. There's just a lot of little things that, by permitting and getting this review and this oversight, that that provide for a much sounder structure that in the long run is saves the everybody some expense.
Lady Cat basketball begins district play Friday night at Wildcat Gym when they face Paris. Varsity coach Karen Hoffman says the team is mentally and physically ready for the district challenge.
We've been putting forth a lot of effort. We're getting ready for Paris. We're playing them, at home, and I've been watching some film on them, and they're going to be it's going to be a tough team to beat, but I think we're ready to go. We've been playing well the last few games.
Tournament helped a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It really did. We got to change a few things up that we needed to do, and we started feeling it. We're finishing in the fourth quarter like we needed to be doing going into district. So I feel good about it, and the girls are flowing well. So,
doing anything specifically to get ready for Paris?
Well, mentally, just the big edge, just getting mentally ready. I mean, physically, I think we're ready to go. We know what we need to be doing. We've changed a few things, or added a little bit for the district play, but mentally, that's what we're working on to get that edge, and yeah, I think we've got it.
Now, jumping rope, obviously building up muscle to be able to jump for rebounds?
Yeah, or just mental toughness. I don't know which one it is. Yeah, we've been doing this since preseason, but it's just something we do. They know we've got to do it 10, 20 minutes a day, and it's just part of it. And, I don't know. Yeah, it may help on the rebounds, but, and help with a little bit of speed and footwork. But a lot of it's just mental toughness because it's not fun to do all the time. Yeah.
Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
Edited and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
Work on Coleman Park North is moving at a brisk pace, according to City Manager Mark Maxwell. The walking path has been completed in the south section of the park and is now being completed along the lake dam. Improvements made on the north section of Coleman Park are being funded primarily by a grant from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
This is an extension of the path that already winds through the baseball fields up to the soccer fields and over the creek. It heads north from there by the tennis courts and splits and goes around the whole lake, and we're actually working it in both directions.
This is just one step in the total reconstruction of the north part of the Coleman Park?
This is the other half of the park, the northern half as we call it. It's the less expensive half, but it's the half that is funded largely by Texas Parks and Wildlife. And it includes the walking path, a fishing pier, a little waterfall between the two lakes now rather than the one lake. And it's the more natural part, and it'll be very beautiful when it's done.
How much longer do we have?
Well, really the park is going to be a work in progress for years. We'll be planting trees and what out there for a long time. We're a good 9 months away from really being able to walk away from it as a capital construction project, but it'll be nice when it's done.
The water, the two lake situation, let's talk about that.
Well, the second lake was created when we let the contract for the excavation of the lake, and they created the dam between them, and we're maintaining the smaller lake, which would be at the southeast corner. We'll be maintaining that 2 or 3 feet higher than the main lake, and that creates the opportunity for a waterfall. But even uphill from the upper lake, there will be a stream which will take recirculating water out of the main lake and let it flow into the upper lake, and in turn flow into the larger lake, and it'll have the effect of aerating the water as well as creating some beautiful scenery.
How deep are these lakes going to be?
Well, they're still both shallow lakes. We did quite a bit of excavation in Coleman Lake, and it made the average depth deeper. But it's still a shallow lake. It's only 6 or 7 feet deep, maybe 8 feet at the deepest. So it's, we don't have Lake Tahoe here. Let me get that straight. But the aeration will have the effect of cleaning up the water quite a bit. We have another issue to deal with on that. There's quite a bit of carp in the lake, we found out, and they stir up the mud. They're on the bottom, and they keep a lake stirred up pretty bad. We've got to find a way to get rid of those before we can bring fish and wildlife in here or the state fisheries program in with any catfish or bass or whatever they plan to do.
Yeah, can a state program assist in taking the carp out?
Well, I've asked department head to check on that to find out just if they can assist, and if not, what we can legally do and what we can't do. And I don't want to overstep any bounds here, but we'll find a way to get rid of the carp before we go much further.
He doesn't want to be fined for like illegal fishing.
Drag nets or something, no.
Now, at one time we were talking about a rock area with water flowing for children play area, water area.
Yeah, that's the stream, and its headwaters will be, I guess, a small pond where it appears to be coming out of a spring is the idea, and then makes its way down to the upper lake, and that's that play area.
With these changes to Coleman Park, will we do an official opening for Coleman Park at any particular point?
Well, the Parks and Recreation Commission has asked for that, and it's about time for us to start planning on some kind of an opening in spring. Ball season will begin. We will have made a great deal of progress, I hope, by spring on the northern end of the park. So it'd be kind of a natural grand opening, and that would be the time to get Texas Parks and Wildlife commissioners and staff up here to see where their money went, because we really think that of all the projects that they do, this is just fits so well with what they're trying to do that they'll be very impressed.
Sulphur Springs Capital Improvements' current project has moved to Carter Street, where water and sewer lines are the primary focus, according to Maxwell.
That's our current capital improvement project. That's about 2,000 feet of water replacement, 1,700 feet of sewer replacement. It's about a $60,000 project, and we've gotten started on that now.
How long will this take?
These projects really depend on weather. Mother Nature's a little fickle these days. It can range from a month to 2 months, just depending on Mother Nature. And we make full use of our flexibility. If we have a day where we can't be on one project, we'll go to another project like Coleman Lake, for example. In fact, we've got a lot of activity out at Coleman Lake right now. We're moving kind of slow on the Carter Street project, but when situation is optimal, we'll move the crews back over to Carter Street.
When you look back on what has been done in the capital improvement project over the last couple of years, 3 years, are you finding that the results of work performed continues to meet standards that you set out for them? In essence, is this work holding up and paying off?
Well, it is holding up. Of course, I do, and Johnny does find areas that have failed. You know, there might be a soft spot on Lee Street, which we found, or on Weaver Street, and especially on streets where we've done an overlay and not a reconstruction. We're going to find that. We know that going in, and we know that an overlay is intended to just extend the life of the road some, not to be a new road. But overall, I'm very, very pleased with the quality of work that we're getting, and the overall improvement in our infrastructure. And we're seeing it, maybe speaking too soon, but we're seeing it in sewer. Last winter was relatively mild in terms of our sewer problems. Of course, that can change overnight. We could have a major line collapse somewhere, but we're making improvement.
When we look at capital improvement, obviously, capital improvement, as we've been approaching it, has been to go to the older areas and restructure, reform, redo those areas. But now, I know with a lot of talk that I'm hearing about the possibility of putting roads and so forth in south of the interstate to alleviate some difficulties created by one-way. The city would obviously have to divert capital improvement funds to those kind of projects, would they not?
Well, it's really too early to say. I mean, I could see how that could become a decision that the council would have to make. But there would be more than one way to skin that cat, and I just don't want to get too far out there before we've done our homework on that and had at least some policy direction from the council.
So you feel like it's possible to continue the capital improvements as we have them set out, and also do other capital improvements that would facilitate new growth?
Well, you can always do that. All it takes is money. Of course, that's a difficult thing to do, to raise funds in the public sector. But that's a question that the city council is going to have to wrestle with, most likely.
Monday at noon, citizens who wish to participate in the improving and expanding of the annual Festival of Lights will meet at the Chamber of Commerce to form a committee that will work throughout the year in preparation for the 2002 event. Fantasy of Lights is the annual Christmas holiday display on the grounds of the Walter Hill Memorial Complex and the downtown square. For more information regarding Monday's noon meeting, which should last no more than an hour, contact Sonny Walden, 885-5555, or Frank Smith, 885-6515. Monday, Sulphur Springs Independent School District teachers return to a work session, and students in the Sulphur Springs ISD return on Tuesday. It was a big win for the Sulphur Springs High School Wildcats as they prepare for district play starting next Friday night. The Cats dominated Henderson 76-52 Thursday night at Wildcat Gym. The Cats scored 13 before Henderson got on the board in the first quarter. Henderson made a 13-1 surge near the end of the first quarter when the Cats subs entered play. But the Cats led throughout the game, Dustin DeVoto and Zach Burney scoring 16 points each to lead Cat scoring. Wildcat and Lady Cat soccer are in tournament play this weekend. The Cats in Kilgore, where Thursday Jacksonville defeated the Wildcats 2-1. Michael Burnson scored the only Wildcat goal. The Lady Cats are in Tyler for the John Tyler High School tournament. Saturday morning, 9 a.m., simulcast on KSST Radio and Channel 18 Television. It's the Coaches Show. Varsity coach Steve Glover will talk about Cat basketball as the Wildcats prepare for district play next Friday, their first district game against Texas High, that at Wildcat Gym. And Lady Cat coach Karen Hoffman will discuss tonight's game against Paris. It's the first game for the Lady Cats in their district season. Their second game will be Monday night in Greenville. Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
Features and sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
Saturday night at approximately 10 p.m., Sulphur Springs Police, representatives of the Texas Attorney General's Office, and members of the TNT Task Force executed 3 search warrants in 3 separate establishments in Sulphur Springs that featured what are referred to as 8-liner machines. 110 machines used for gambling purposes were confiscated by local police. The targeted establishments were the Jackpot Arcade, located in Shannon Square Shopping Center, Lucky Eights, located on West Industrial, and Texas Gold, located on Main Street. The owners of the 3 establishments, none of whom were local residents, were taken into custody and charged with 4 Class A misdemeanors: promotion of gambling, possession of gambling equipment, keeping a gambling place, and possession of gambling paraphernalia. A 4th 8-liner establishment recently opened in Sulphur Springs was not included in the warrant, but Chief of Police B.J. Bayuk said no establishment of this type would be allowed to operate in the city. Gambling operations are illegal in Texas.
On Saturday, January 5th, about 9:15 p.m., the Sulphur Springs Police Department, along with the TNT Task Force and the Office of the Attorney General, we executed 3 search warrants on the 3 8-liner establishments here in Sulphur Springs. My understanding is there's a 4th one that just opened up, but they were not included in this search warrant. This investigation has been going on for some time. I have been in contact with the Attorney General's office and the County Attorney Dusty Raby. The Attorney General's office come up and assist us on the investigation. During the investigation, when the officers entered into the establishments, all the patrons were identified, but then were released. No further action towards them was needed, and no further action will be coming in the future. They were just released. The owners of the 3 in question, the Jackpot Arcade located at Shannon Square Shopping Center, the Lucky Eights in the what people would know as the Old Ward Supply Building, and then Texas Gold located on Main Street. The owners were taken into custody and charged with 4 Class A misdemeanors. The charges were possession of gambling equipment, promotion of gambling, keeping a gambling place, and possession of gambling paraphernalia. At the time that entry was made, and there was, it went real smooth. Yeah, there were some kind of unhappy people, but gambling is a violation of state law, and thus we end up seizing 110 machines from all 3 establishments, so that was 110 total. Machines are stored and secured in a place for the court proceedings. And all in all, there was probably close to 20 or more officers that helped out in the execution. I'd like to also commend the reserve officers that were asked to come out and assisted us in this, and I thank them for their volunteer time.
Now, you seized the machines, but in those machines would have been money. There would have been the money on the premises there. Did you seize the money also?
Yes, we did. According to the AG's office, there are certain protocol you follow when you do enter into the establishments and take the 8-liner machines during a search warrant. 2 officers counted the money out of each machine, and each machine is identified and tagged as a separate item as far as for evidence. The money is then gathered, and it's real important that 2 officers count the money so there's know exactly how much was in there. And all in all, right now, I don't know exactly how much money was seized Saturday night, and that is still being calculated.
What level of charge is this against these owners?
Class A misdemeanors. It'll come out of Dusty's court, Dusty's jurisdiction with the county. Yes.
As it relates to this, how long had this investigation been going on, and what motivated the investigation?
I had received, several calls from citizens about, is it legal? Well, we researched it and spoke with Dusty, got a hold of the AG's office, and it is gambling. As far as how long the investigation has been going on, I would probably say I know of 3 months that it's been going on, and all the information was gathered, and then thus was put into a search warrant, and then the judge signed the search warrants and gave us the authority to go into them establishments and seize the equipment.
Were there Attorney General representatives at each of the 3 establishments, or just one, or more?
No, the AG's office come up with 3 agents, and there was a agent with the Attorney General's office at each location. What we did was we divided up the 3 places into 3 teams. On each team consisted an AG officer along with Sulphur Springs police officers, and possibly there might have been a few task force officers involved in there. But in reference to your question, yeah, the AG's office had one on each team.
There are 4 establishments. What about the 4th one that you did not enter?
The 4 establishment that I mentioned, they had just opened up recently, and thus we had already completed our investigation on the 3 other ones. If they continue to stay open, then they will suffer the consequences of what happened to the other 3. I don't want people to think we just didn't do them. We just didn't have enough time. And but if the 4th one stays open, and because it's keeping a gambling place, then they will be dealt with.
What constitutes making these machines gambling?
As far as what constitutes, when somebody enters in, puts money into a machine, they're placing a bet, and I myself have not been in there and did the machines, but you obtain credits, and as long as you keep a certain number of credits, then you receive some type of prize, whether that be money or a gift certificate or a prize of some nature. But when you bet and you place money into that machine, and then you get a prize in return of value or equal value or more, and so that constitutes gambling according to the state penal.
What kind of hours were these establishments running?
According according to our city ordinance, as far as the hours, I believe it's Monday through Friday. Let me make sure with my notes here. According to the city ordinance, as far as Monday through Friday from 7:30 in the morning till 12 o'clock at night. On Saturdays, they can stay open from 7:30 to 1 a.m. And then on Sunday, it states from 1 p.m. to 12 a.m.
So the length of hours for these, they're open more than just a retail establishment?
Yes. Yeah, they run, till midnight on Monday through Friday, and then Saturday still 1 o'clock in the morning.
What kind of complaints did you receive against them? Did it have to do with the fact that these were gambling establishments, or what kind of complaints did you receive? You said you had some calls about it.
Yes, most of the complaints come in just want to know, why we having gambling places in our city. And at that time, I advised the people I spoke to that I would check into it, and like I said, I touched base with the county attorney, with Dusty, and also with the AG's office, and it was determined it is a gambling place. Throughout the state, I understand they are attempting to shut down 8-liners all over. Now, I have heard talk that, is it gambling or not? But according to the Attorney General's office and according to our county attorney, it is gambling, and thus we took enforcement action against it.
Were these establishments owned by local people?
No, they were not. The 3 that we rated were not owned by local people, and the 4th one, my understanding, is not a local person.
Over $112,000. That's the total garnered by the Sale of Champions auction Saturday night at the Junior Market Livestock Show conducted at the Regional Civic Center. Grand Champion and Reserve Champions in the 5 divisions led the 100 animals auctioned at the sale. The Junior Market Show features projects of Hopkins County 4-H and FFA members. This year's sales receipts topped last year's sale receipts by $10,000. Top winners in each division include, in the steer division, Ryan Evans, Miller Grove FFA, Grand Champion Steer. Reserve Champion Steer was shown by Lacey Griffith, North Hopkins FFA. Grand Champion Swine, Brittany Lamphere, Hopkins County 4-H. Reserve Champion Swine, Morgan Lamp, Hopkins County 4-H. Grand Champion Lamb was shown by Josh George, Miller Grove FFA. Reserve Champion Lamb shown by Morgan Shetler, Hopkins County 4-H. In the poultry division, the grand champions belong to Lindsay Faust, Hopkins County 4-H. Reserve Champion Poultry, Riley Tatum, Sulphur Springs FFA. In the goat division, Grand Champion Hillary Harris, Miller Grove FFA. Reserve Champion shown by Nikki Lytle, Miller Grove FFA.
330, 330, 320, 30, 330, 330. Anybody get 330, 320, 330, 330, down they go, 330, 330, 320 a pound. Lee Warren, short for you, Lee. No, Lee, is that Melissa, isn't it? No, Patty. Lee and Patty Warren. Lee and Patty Warren.
The Grand Champion steer was sold for over $3 per pound to Lee and Patty Warren. This is the 2nd year in a row for the Warrens to purchase the Grand Champion. Pilgrim's Pride once again purchased the Grand Champion poultry entry for $1,550. Grand Champion Lamb was purchased by Smith, McDowell, Ginn, and McDowell attorneys, and Hopkins County Vet Clinic purchased the Grand Champion Swine and the Grand Champion Goat entries.
It's been a long, hard road.
A lot of expense tied up here, huh?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Good looking animal. Tell us about it.
He's a 3/4 Maine Jew, 1/4 Angus. He weighs about 1170. And we bought him about this time last year, hoping he'd do good, and he did.
A lot of work?
Yeah, a lot. On a day-to-day basis. It's an everyday deal.
Biggest thing trying to muscle him up?
Well, no, not really. It just depends on a lot of how the cow's bred and the kind of feed you feed.
Well, are you pleased with reserve?
I'm very pleased.
We need all the
Were you? I know you weren't surprised with that.
Was I surprised? I was surprised I was even going to make the cut.
I don't think there was any doubt about that.
Good steers here.
Well, you're looking now at the sale, and it's obviously good placement for you.
Yep. I just hope that he brings a lot of money.
Thanks.
She doesn't want to get rid of it.
That's what I figured. How hard is it going to be to get rid of it?
Well, if there's a lot of money involved, not too hard. It's going to be crying.
From your perspective.
Yeah.
How hard is it to support them in this from the standpoint of the emotional support and so forth as they get ready for a show like this?
Well, she pretty much does it all on her own.
Pretty self-sufficient young lady.
Oh, yes.
That means good parenting has been done.
Well, I hope so.
Thanks.
We'll see how she does on the next one.
Thanks.
Hopkins County Agent Larry Spradlin tells us about the auction and the Junior Livestock Show. We caught up with Spradlin at Hopkins County Veterinary Clinic.
We were doing our final tabulations this morning as we're talking, and our first indications looks like all the numbers are better than last year. Matter of fact, it looks like we're $10,000 above last year, so it's over $100,000 sale to the youth and the ag youth of Hopkins County. So we're really excited about that. We had almost 200 kids there, and so 100 kids participated in the sale, so that's right at $1,000 to go toward their college funds per kid. So we're really excited about that.
When you look at the fact that the Grand Champion steer sold for well over $3 a pound, you've got to be really excited about the participation that people brought to the sale.
Yeah, sure. And you know, that's the most labor-intense project, and it's the most expensive project to put together. The people that do that, of course, they put a lot of time. They've had that project for over a year, and they did come out good. I remember, years ago, and they didn't bring near that much or half that much. So we have increased in our quality of animals, we've increased in the quality of our products, and we've increased in our sale, and we've been really excited about that. I remember the first year we started with this sale, we sold all the projects for about $50,000. So we've doubled it almost into, so we're really excited about how this thing is going out.
You're getting a lot of repeat customers, shall we say. Some people are really being committed to this. The Warrens, this is the second year in a row to buy the champion steer. Pilgrims, again, buying the poultry.
It's really, we talked about some of the ag teachers was talking after it was all over with, and we Hopkins County is not, as far as population, as far as industry, is probably not one of the larger ones in this area of northeast Texas, but the hearts that we have from people like the Warrens and the hearts of the people, the generosity that we have with, like the vet clinic here, is they come out and really support the youth of the county, and they do a great job of supporting these young people.
What does this mean to the kids who are involved in this show?
Well, this money is 90% of these kids will be going to college, of course, and this money does they put back into their funds, and there'll be a college education for them, and that's what this thing was intended to start with. Now, a lot of this money will be put back for projects for next year that they can continue on, or maybe increase in size of projects and maybe start a herd of their own. But most of this money is used for a college education, and with the industry here and with the opportunities young people have here, this is like a scholarship to them, and it's a way, again, we talked about, it's not a gimme to the kids. These kids have worked for these projects, and they've done an outstanding job, and it just really does a good job for them.
Had some good judges this year.
We're really excited about our judges. We had Murray Don Dawson that came back. He's judged here about 10 years ago. He is a Hopkins County native, and so it's always exciting to have Murray Don come back. We had a man from Van Alstyne, the ag teacher over there, come and judge, and made outstanding reasons. We just lots of support, lots of to the kids. I know all the parents I've talked to were really excited. They were really glad to get to give his reasons and everything, and I think that's what all we ask of a judge is to be non-prejudiced and biased to all exhibitors and give good reasons.
Well, when they give those reasons, it obviously gives the kids a little motivation for the next time they show.
Sure, and that's why we want this to be a learning experience. And obviously, not everyone's a champion, but obviously it does give them a chance if a judge will say, you know, next year you maybe need to do this or that, or maybe look for an animal that's a little longer or taller or something. This gives them an opportunity to learn and be a little more selective for next year's projects.
The goat entries, do you see a continued rise in that?
You know, the goat population in Texas is increasing, and I'm talking about the goat shows, and they are increasing. We are looking for that to continue on, and hopefully we'll increase in size from last year or from this year, and it'll be a bigger deal next year.
When you look at the sale price that you receive for the animal, then there are what are referred to as add-ons. Mm-hmm. Tell us what the add-ons are. The
add-ons are for people that probably don't want to come and buy a total, say, a steer, but yet they understand that this is a kid in their community or someone that they're familiar with, and it gives them a chance to go by and just say, well, you know, I can't buy your animal, but I want to put some money on in your fund, and it gives them an opportunity to make a donation, if you will.
Does it go to a specific person or?
Oh yes. If you give the add-ons, go to the specific person, and it goes directly to them, and that gives you an opportunity, like I said, to donate money to one specific person.
A $100,000 legislative appropriation in the current state budget will assist local farmers and ranchers in disposing of dead animal carcasses through compaction. Hopkins County Extension Agent Larry Spradlin said the need for this is important for fresh water supplies in the area. Spradlin says ways of implementing the composting process are currently under study.
We have a really big challenge in this county. One of the biggest instigations that we've had, of course, we've lost the pet food manufacturers out at the south part of town. And so we have been told to try to come up with an opportunity to get rid of these dead animals. You know, unfortunately, a lot of these animals are being placed in pastures, in creek bottoms, in ditches, and in Hopkins County, every ditch in the county runs to a water supply. And when we're doing these animal carcasses are being drained out down to Lake Fork or Lake Tawakoni or to the west or to the east. And so an opportunity we have to clarify the water here and maintain a high quality water issue here is that we wanted to compost these animals. We cannot, because of the rendering laws, because of the mad cow and then foot and mouth diseases, they shut down rendering plants. So the pet food manufacturing place out here, he was not able to have an avenue for his cattle. So now we're having to either bury the cattle or incinerate the cattle, or you can compost them. We have met with the Texas Animal Health Commission, the EPA. Everybody within the legislature has just been very complimentary of us doing this. It's probably one of the first counties in the state of Texas that is trying to do this, and they have all been very excited about us doing this. We think it's a very, very good way, a very, very healthy way for us to do this. And I know it's one of the issues now is this where we're going to put the products, and B&W Organics have been a first-rate operation. And we're trying to put in some issues down there, trying to put in the factory and manufacturing down there, and hopefully we'll get it done within the near future.
Now, what steps are necessary in order to get this done?
Well, we're looking at doing this, and we have to, of course, transport the dead animals to the place, and it goes right into a composter. In 3 days, the compost comes out odorless. It is amazing what composting will do to these carcasses. They mix it with sawdust, if you will, with shavings. It comes out as a carbon unit, and it comes out as a totally clean, environmentally friendly, and that's why everybody is so environmentally concerned now, obviously. This gives us a great opportunity to take a product that is, you know, no one wants to have, and put it into a product that is very handy for everybody around.
Anyone who wants to access this service?
Sure, it's open to the people of Hopkins County, and we're trying right now, of course, to make sure that we do this in a complimentary way for not only for us, not only for the dairymen, for the beef cattle producers in this area, but you know, this man was he was hauling off, I think, right around 500 to 1,000 carcasses a year in Hopkins County. You know, we have over 100,000 head of livestock in this county, and unfortunately, from time to time, they die. And unfortunately, we have a way maybe now that we can do this. We have got a $100,000 grant from the state of Texas to do this, and we're just trying to find a good way to do it and do it in a way that it would be environmentally friendly. We cannot keep putting these carcasses down in creeks and river bottoms and stuff, and I don't want to drink that. I don't want to drink that. And so we are just trying to do a way that, trying to create a method that we can produce a unfriendly product into a friendly product.
Organizers of a committee to promote Fantasy of Lights met Monday at noon. A light turnout for the noon meeting Monday, but organizers have planned a second meeting for January 17th, a Thursday, 5 p.m. at Plain and Fancy in Sulphur Springs.
My idea is to form an organization along the lines of the Fall Festival Committee and or the Dairy Festival Committee that will take the responsibility for making sure it happens, so that it doesn't fall down to one or two people and not being done. I'm very proud of what's happened with Fantasy of Lights and intend to stay involved in it in the way that I have been. My forte, my strength is in my creativity. I'm an idea person, and will continue if the organization wishes me to, if one is formed, to do exactly what I've been doing, which is design the displays, oversee the construction of the stars, and work with anybody on the fundraising and figuring out the needs as far as how many lights we need, what we need, and making sure that they're there. Basically, what we need are people who are willing to manage putting the stuff up, getting the work done once it's created. The stars is an extremely important symbol. The star announced the birth of the Christ child in Bethlehem on down to where the Lone Star State, Sulphur Springs, was Bright Star, Texas. And each of the states is represented on their national flag by a star. So it's a nice, everybody can find something in a star that they like. And it's also something that is different as far as a decor theme goes that none of the other towns that decorate for Christmas as a tourism attraction uses. So we started the first year, we did just this portion of the grounds out here. The next year it expanded to cover the whole complex. And then this year we wanted to take it to the downtown area, and again, we won't go through my failure to get that done, but the vision that we have is ultimately that we will have the Civic Center complex, the campus decorated here, the downtown area, the square decorated, and then connect the two with the same theme down Connolly Street through the city park and out to here and around the lake, and perhaps down Main Street also, so that there is a driving tour through lights that we can advertise statewide along the lines of what Marshall and other cities do.
Thanks for watching News Notebook. Don't forget, students return to Sulphur Springs Independent School District schools Tuesday morning. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.
275, 280, 290, 290. Now 310, 10, 310, 310, 310 now, 310, 310. This is grand checking now, 310, 310, 310, not aware, 310, 310, 310. Anybody get 310?
features, and sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News.
Sulphur Springs High School has initiated a Crime Stoppers program. Principal Joe Oliver said the program began after school administrators investigated programs at area high schools. Initial funding for the program has been provided by the Sulphur Springs Police Department and the Sulphur Springs School Board. Continued funding for the program will be based on student initiative. The high school Crime Stopper number is 885-5534 and allows students to remain anonymous when they report information on crimes and vandalism at the school.
We've talked to several different districts that have these high school Crime Stoppers, and they've been very successful, and so we wanted to try to begin one. So we do have the number, we have people in charge, we have a student advisory board, we have everything set up and is good to go. And I think what I'd like to say too is we're not starting this because we have major problems. But what we want to do is just continue the situation that we have as far as being good. I think in my 27 years of education, being in Sulphur Springs, this is probably the most supportive community and one of the best school systems I've ever been a part of. When you have a school system in a community like that, it's because there's good people there. So we feel like that our students are good people, and the few that causes problems, that the few people that do cause the problems, the good people are probably going to want to help us solve anything that does occur. And so this is something we thought it would be good, and so we're hoping that it'll be a very successful and just make our school safer and make our whole school situation even better than it already is.
In the schools that you've talked to that have this program, did they find that having this Crime Stoppers program not only enabled them to solve the mysteries of the problems that occur, but also that it cut down on the number of occurrences that they...
The people that we've talked to, mostly we dealt with the local areas that had them, but they were very positive about the program. They felt like they were very successful as far as catching people that gave problems to the school, but also cut back on incidences that occurred. So they were very, very positive and thought it was a very good program, and so we're excited, and hopefully that ours will be good too.
The funding for this, I know if you're going to offer a reward, you've got to have something that to give in return. So how are you funding this?
Now, the local Crime Stoppers from our local police department is going to be helping us get started, along with our school board has designated some monies to get us started, and then what our plan is that it'll be a student-funded fund from now on going into the next year. We have service organizations such as our Key Clubs and such as our student council that do service organization that donate money to people in need and different things, and so they're going to hopefully help us keep that funded as we get into this. And of course, again, we had the number set up before the holidays, and actually didn't have any occurrences where we really needed it, and so it didn't have any calls. Have had a couple of calls that have helped us in some situations, nothing major. But we're up and running hopefully for this semester and from now on, and so we're hoping it's going to be a positive thing.
How are you advertising this number to your students?
Basically, all we've done to this point since we just began was over the loudspeaker and announcements. Our Cat's Tail program and our Wildcat TV program will be doing some features on that coming up this month. Then we'll have some posters that are being printed and flyers that we'll have out.
Is this only for the high school campus?
This is right now for our high school campus. I mean, this is a high school, Sulphur Springs High School Crime Watchers. And we're basically looking at situations for people breaking the school rules and breaking state and federal rules as far as laws, as far as Sulphur Springs High School goes. The number is 885-5534.
The City of Sulphur Springs has received its long-awaited permit for the wastewater treatment plant. The permit increases the total suspended solids count for treated wastewater. City Manager Mark Maxwell.
As you know, we had some difficulties with the contractor, and we came to some agreement, enough to get him back on the job and finish it out.
What kind of agreement did you reach?
Well, we came to an agreement on what we would accept for the mechanism. What he's building is among other things, is what's called a clarifier. It's a major treatment process in water treatment, and we had some problems with the personnel bridge that takes you out to a center mechanism, and with the the support structure itself. There were enough modifications made that we would accept it with a warranty, a 10-year warranty and a 5-year performance bond. And so he agreed to it. He got back on the job, and I expect him to finish this week. It's just about done.
The agreement, was this basically for the safety of the workers crossing the bridge, or was this so that the equipment would work properly?
Well, both. Of course, workers aren't on the bridge very often. But the bridge is an integral part of the whole thing, and if it's off a little bit, it can really alter the treatment process, which could really affect our water quality. And yeah, it's important. And we wanted to know that it's going to work for a long, long time, as our others have, and this is our best way of doing that.
The city's just finally received the permit for the wastewater treatment plant.
That's correct. It became finalized yesterday, I understand. And so for the first time in 3.5 years, we'll be operating with a wastewater discharge permit.
How soon will we be working on the next one?
Well, it's a 5-year permit.
We've got a 1.5 years left.
Well, I assume that the permit actually becomes effective now when we have 5 years. I probably need to double check and make sure. But since this permit actually sought to increase the limitation on total suspended solids, that's the reason that it took so long to do it. Generally, the process is not is tiring.
Was it increased, and how much?
Yes, our former permit put a limitation on total suspended solids of 5 milligrams per liter, which is a loose way of saying 5 parts per million. And we contended at the time that that is unrealistically stringent, that it is the same kind of limitation put on wastewater dischargers who discharge directly into, say, Lake Lavon, and that there was no reason to have those kind of limitations on Rock Creek. And eventually we did prevail, and the new limitations are what they call seasonal. During the months of April through October, the limitation is 15 milligrams per liter, and November through March will be 12 milligrams per liter.
You do not expect any changes, though, in what the city is already putting into the stream?
No, there's really no reason to do that, and we have pledged to the council and to the public that we will continue to operate it at the very lowest level we can. We've been able to get that below 2 milligrams per liter before, I think on one occasion even below 1. And we will always try to do that, but you saw last month that we, or I should say in November, we had a problem with our treatment process, and we also had some industrial dischargers discharge a very heavy solids load on us, and it caused us to actually exceed that permit level, which on a one-time basis is not a problem. You do it 3 or more times, and it becomes a very big problem. And there's no cushion there, no room for any kind of outside influences to affect the process. And so this will give us the ability to sleep at night, knowing that if something happens which is beyond our control, we won't be fined the massive fines that TNRCC can impose.
The city of Sulphur Springs continues to work with industry to alleviate pollution. According to City Manager Maxwell, some local industry has had problems with pre-treatment backup at specific times of the year, especially during the rainy season.
I do know that DFA has problems with their pre-treatment plant. When an industry such as DFA or Morningstar or Ocean Spray discharges, our ordinances and in fact the state require them to pre-treat their sewage so that when it arrives at our plant it's more treatable. And they have had some problems which they argue are at least in part caused by our inflow and infiltration into our own system. They can't discharge, it backs up, they can't treat it when it backs up, and it creates sometimes a very pungent odor, especially in the summer months. And they are making some changes to their pre-treatment plant. I've met with Mark Gunderson. I don't know how far along they are in the process. We probably need to check on that for you. You know, if you continue to receive, or I continue to receive any reports of that, but I haven't heard of anything or personally observed it in a number of months.
Mark was telling me that, Mark Gunderson was telling me that there's actually a company that owns the pretreatment, that DFA does not do the pretreatment themselves, that they have a company that they have.
I don't think there's a company that actually owns it. I think they have somebody that operates it. I think that's pretty standard in the business.
Will making changes along Main Street, I know that you're looking at some capital improvements along there. Would capital improvements in that area facilitate alleviating this problem?
I don't think so, because most of the inflow and infiltration problems occur on lines which, well, they discharge into a line that doesn't actually run. It actually runs behind the building, and it continues up more or less along the railroad tracks until it gets to grocery supply, and then it heads back over to Main Street. And we have replaced most, if not all, of that by now. We just completed the Gladys Alexander project, and that probably a misnomer. It extends from Gladys Alexander westward to grocery supply, and we've done work on the other side of DFA as well. And so, hopefully, we'll know for sure when the rains come again. Hopefully, we've solved our I&I problem in that area, and if they solve their own pretreatment problems, maybe this will be behind us.
There are also other industry in that area that produce an odor into the atmosphere.
There's an industry called Westway on League Street that produces a liquid sugar feed for cattle, and from time to time we get complaints about an odor that comes from the plant. You might recall a council meeting several years ago where they had applied for I think a replat so they could expand their operation. There were some residents that came to the meeting and complained at the time. It's a very different odor from what we find from DFA from time to time, but they do get confused.
The area where these are located, basically an industrial area, specifically Westway, where they're located, they're across the street from a park and near a residential area.
I'd have to look, but I want to say it's actually zoned industrial, being alongside the railroad track.
The Sulphur Springs High Lady Cats won by 2 Monday night as they defeated the Greenville Lady Lions 65-63 in Greenville. Now 2-0 in district, the locals have won their 2 district games by 2-point margins. Ruth Jimerson scored 29 points for the win Monday night. The locals led by 6 at the end of the first quarter, 19-13. But cold shooting took its toll in the second and third quarter. Greenville led at the half, 37-30, and at the end of the third quarter, it was 52-44. Varsity coach Karen Hoffman.
It's a big win, good win for us. If you watch the game, we'll be, came from behind, big 14 points, I'm sorry, and came back on them and showed a lot of character in the third and fourth quarter. Their heads never got down. They knew they could come back. They knew they were a better team. We didn't play well. Hadn't played on the road in quite some time. That had a little bit to do with it, I think. But we came back, we fought hard, and we never quit. So I'm very, very proud of them for that.
Well, shooting was cold for the Lady Cats all the way from freshman, junior varsity, and the varsity, basically. You were with a man-to-man defense in the first half of the varsity game, and unfortunately, they had a little trouble recovering to their man on the transition.
Yeah, they did. Are you talking about us? Yeah, we did. We struggled at halftime. We just kind of got our focus back where it needed to be, and to remember the things that's gotten us good wins and doing those things, and we went back to that in the third and fourth quarter and challenged a few of them again at halftime, and they stepped it up. So
Frankie hits 29 points. That had to be a big night for Ruth, excuse me. Yeah, I know. Ruth hits 29 points, and that makes a big difference in the game.
Ruth is just getting stronger and stronger every game. I'm very proud of her. A lot of them are starting to get better and better every game. But she helped us in a big way last night. Whenever some people were cold that usually are hot and hitting, and she stepped up her game. And she's still struggling with the free throws a little bit, but she ended the game right when we needed them for sure, when it was a 2 or 3 point ball game. So she stepped it up.
On the road again Friday night, and this one's a long one.
At Texas High, we have 3 games, and yeah, it is a long one. And they're a good ball club. You know, again, I think a lot of the teams in the district are good. You know, like I said, the main ones I feel like are Greenville and Paris, and we beat those teams. But you know, you can't overlook the other ones. You know, Greenville got beat by North Lamar. We have them next Tuesday. So you know, we've got a tough district, but if we keep playing the way we're playing, and the kids keep stepping it up, coming off the bench the way they have been, we'll be okay.
Friday night, the Lady Cats take on Texas High in Texarkana for their 3rd district contest. Monday night's win over Greenville can be seen here on video replay Saturday night at 6 p.m. The Sulphur Springs High School Wildcats take on Texas High in their Basketball District 14 4A opener. That's Friday night at Wildcat Gym. KSST will broadcast Friday night's Wildcat game against Texas High, videotaping that for replay immediately following the Lady Cat game Saturday evening at 6. Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
KSST Channel 18 News staff.
Sulphur Springs City Council approved moving municipal court to 312A South Davis to provide additional space for the police department in the city municipal building. Council also approved the purchase of a computer-aided dispatch service for the police department. Those decisions made during Tuesday night's council meeting. In other business, Bobby Gillis' resignation from the airport board was approved, and Clay Walker was appointed to fill the vacancy on the board. The annual independent audit for the city fiscal year 2001 ended with the commendation of City Finance Director Peter Karstens and the city staff for their work. 2 final readings and 4 first reading of ordinances regarding zoning changes were approved. Among those first readings approved, the rezoning of Molina's Restaurant. A final plat for Interstate Body Shop was not approved, but council recommended the matter be taken to the Zoning Board of Adjustments. The owner of Interstate Body Shop seeks to build a fence around additional property recently purchased next to his location. The fence would provide a secure enclosure for vehicles parked on the property. A number of problems related to zoning were noted as the council denied the final plat and recommended the referral to ZBA.
It brought up several issues in trying to accomplish this. One, that the property is acquired is not zoned heavy commercial such as the property it currently has, so it had to be rezoned. It's also not an approved building site, so that brings up the issues of sewer, water, streets, all of our development regulations. This also is an area that has been petitioned by property owners in the past for the city to, to install sewer in that area. Normally this is done by the developer. So Mr. Overstreet's kind of between a rock and hard place here. He's not really developing in the terms that we generally think of. He's not putting in a large subdivision, but at the same time he's enlarging a building site that does not have the proper infrastructure in place. And then there's the question if he said he wants to build a cyclone fence. Well, it's heavy commercial, it should be a masonry fence. And the more infrastructure we build prior to addressing the fact of bringing in our sanitary sewer or water lines, we have to disturb these improvements then at the time we install these services, and that makes it more costly. So it's unfortunately he's brought up quite a situation here to wrestle with. But when he went to P&Z, they didn't recommend approval. I told him he had certainly had the right to city council, which he's chosen to do so. I also informed Mr. Overstreet that if it was denied here, the only other option I could think of was to seek a variance from the Zoning Board of Adjustment. But I don't intend to allude tonight that that's going to be the easy answer either. They're a board that diligently looks at when they should grant variances and when they shouldn't, and this one's going to be a tough one for them to fit in that umbrella to grant a variance under. So I don't mean to allude that that's the easy answer tonight. There's not an easy answer here.
Water rates were restructured to facilitate permitting industrial use of untreated water in Lake Sulphur Springs. Residential rates will not be affected.
And I want to stress at the beginning of this is not a rate increase. And if I could give you a little history, you may recall a couple of years ago we had a power plant seriously looking at Hopkins County as a place to, or I should say a power generation company seriously looking at Hopkins County as a place to build a power generation plant. That didn't pan out, and then we had another one look, and then we also had a phone call from yet another power generation company. That was about that time. I'm sure it was all in anticipation of deregulation. And when we went through that, of course, they were very interested in what we would charge for our water as it's needed for various different processes, depending on whether they're gas-fired or a coal-fired plant. And we discovered at that time that the water which is in Lake Sulphur Springs, which would be the most logical water to sell, we could not in fact sell under our current permit. Our permit is a municipal use only permit, which means we sell treated water within the city of Sulphur Springs and to outlying water districts or water supply corporations. And what we did then is we applied to amend the permit to be a municipal and industrial use permit, which would give us the ability to sell raw water. It's quite a valuable asset that we have at Lake Sulphur Springs, and in the event that at some point a power generation company or a food processor or some other industry would like to locate here and buy large volumes of water, perhaps we could benefit from that and they could benefit. And at the time we applied, we were told it's a fairly easy process to go through, and as we got into it, it appeared that was true, except for one little glitch. As TNRCC reviewed it, they said, well, you have a promotional water rate. That is, as the usage increases, the rate decreases. The legislature has told us we need to encourage water conservation, and as a part of that, we do not allow any permit amendments with a promotional water rate. So we argued at the time that we have it set up that way to help defer the cost of the water lines themselves, and that in fact the more expensive tiers at the beginning were in essence a demand charge, and they rejected that argument, and really that's where it sat for quite some time until maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago. We got an urgent phone call from our water attorney Ron Freeman, who said they want to either let this permit or kill it, and that all depends on whether or not you amend your water rates. So I got Peter pretty busy on proposing a new water rate with the intention of making it revenue neutral for the city and producing as close to possible the same water bill for residents and industries. And what we have ended up with is, I think, the best we ever can end up with. It's revenue neutral for the city. Some ratepayers will pay slightly less, some will pay slightly more, but we have minimized the delta in the before and after rates, and we present it to you for your consideration tonight. We're glad to answer any questions that you may have.
If we approve this rate, Mr. Maxwell, would PNRCC be able to dictate what we sell raw water for?
No.
The rate?
No, this has nothing to do with the rate that we sell raw water for.
It just permits us to sell raw water?
Yes.
Okay.
Sulphur Springs Independent School District Superintendent Dr. Mark Henry's contract was extended for an additional year Tuesday night during a special session of the school board. The unanimous vote of the board extends the contract to June 30th, 2005. The vote came following the annual board evaluation of the superintendent. Board Chairman Tom Sellers pointed out that the board was unanimous in their vote.
We had a good meeting last night. Everything went very well, and we voted unanimously to extend the superintendent's contract for another year. We're very pleased with the performance of the school district and what Mark's been able to accomplish over his tenure with the district. We think we've made a lot of improvements. Mark's done a very good job, very willing to listen to our recommendations and constructive criticisms, and we have a very good working relationship with Mark and very pleased with our progress. Now, when you extend this for an additional year, this basically continues the 3-year out there contract.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's a pretty standard contract in the state of Texas. It varies with districts, but 3 years is a normal contract. And when things are going well and you're pleased with the performance of the district, that's usually customary, and which we are very pleased with the performance of Mark and the district.
Your board meeting is next week. Any specific items on the agenda for that?
Oh, we haven't really finished all the items yet, but it'll be our normal meeting in beginning a new year. Of course, the school year will be basically half over by then, and we'll continue to evaluate our direction that we're going in the district, and not anything unusual expected at the board meeting next week.
Dr. Henry said the work of a school system is a team effort.
It kind of gives me a little humility and thankfulness that I'm surrounded by the kind of people that I'm surrounded by here, and I'm talking about the staff here in the central office and the principals and the teachers and staff out on the campuses, because without the great work they do, I would not have the opportunity to have another year extended to my contract. So I think more than anything, I'm appreciative of the people that I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by.
Does this help with long-range planning for a school district to know that, you know, you're having that contract extended out?
I think one of the things that Sulphur Springs has enjoyed is a pretty consistent leadership group, whether it's the school board, although there's some changeover from year to year, but there's usually a pretty solid core of board members. And you also have had a pretty solid leadership group from the central office and from campuses. So all of that gives a little continuity and helps things to move forward. We have people that are in this office here that have been here for years, and even though a couple of them have retired, they're staying on part-time and helping us continue that continuity while saving some money in administrative costs. So I think any time that you can keep your leadership intact, you're going to gain some continuity.
With, of course, you've been talking about working with your staff, but working with school board is a very important thing too.
Well, we've got a good cross-section of people representing the community, and I think since I have been here, I have worked with, I'm trying to think, but I believe 10 different members of the community, and they've all just been excellent people to work with. And I don't think it's necessary that all the board members agree with each other, and I don't think it's necessary that all the board members agree with me, but I do think it's necessary that people are agreeable in their disagreements. And in my experience here, which is 4 years, everyone has always conducted themselves in just a great way. It's a pleasure to be part of that team.
You know, sometimes when a superintendent looks at the work that he does, there are small pockets here and there of people who don't necessarily agree with all the decisions that have to be made in the school district, and sometimes they are they're the ones who speak out and try to seek maybe holding on to some things that from the past that have been important to them. Does this vote by the board signal to you that the steps that have been taken in the last few years are vital steps, and that vital steps are still yet to be taken?
I think that the board in their vote, and certainly I don't know that it's my job to interpret that, but I think that they're saying that all of our students are important, and some of the things that we've done to help reach some students who may have been traditionally underserved in all districts, I think they see that as an important part of what we're doing. And public education by its very nature is designed to reach out to all groups, and that's lower level students, and that's the students in the middle, and that's the upper level students. And I think we've done some things for all of those groups of people, and we've got to continue to change. We've got to continue to modernize. There's no doubt in my mind that, and I don't think in anyone's mind, that your organization has to continue to grow, your organization has to continue to improve, you have to continue to update, or your organization dies. And that's true in education, that's true in business, or wherever it is. So, you know, we're looking forward to getting better and better, and I hope that occurs.
The new federal education bill signed into law by President George W. Bush reflects much of what is already mandated in Texas by state law, according to Superintendent Dr. Henry.
Well, from what I have read, and I haven't seen the details of the law, but from the summaries that I've seen, number one, there's an accountability portion of that law which Texas already does. So that's a big portion of the bill that we are already doing in Texas. In fact, I think the national law is going to be based basically on what Texas law is. There will be some additional federal funds available for like Chapter 1, which is a reading and math improvement program. So I would expect that we will be receiving additional funds, not this year, but as soon as next year, for some of those federally sponsored programs. And I haven't seen if there's additional money in Head Start and some of those, but I would suspect there will be there too. And we've just got a great grant writing team, and we'll get our share of those funds when they become available.
One of the things that I noticed was they were taking money away from the building programs that had been a big part of the Clinton administration, and the school district has received some of that money for some remodeling that we're doing here. Does this mean that any future building or remodeling or reconstruction that needs to be done in our district is going to fall once again into, say, a bond issue such as as Mount Pleasant did recently?
Well, you know, that will be a decision for the board and the community to make, but certainly our facilities are reaching a point where we have to modernize. And any time that you're talking about anything to do with facilities, you usually don't have that amount of money available just in your fund balance, so you have to go out for other sources. So I certainly wouldn't say that that's what we're about to do, but I certainly would say that in the very near future that needs to be looked at seriously, that we do update what we have and modernize.
A twice stolen auto was apprehended by Sulphur Springs police Tuesday. The auto had been stolen in Conway, Arkansas. The thief had stopped along the way to pick up a hitchhiker. The hitchhiker stole the auto from the first thief. Off-duty officer Jason Ricketson was the first to discover the interesting saga, according to Detective Monty Tips.
Corporal Jason Ricketson was actually headed home when he noticed this vehicle pull off onto the side of the interstate. So he stopped off for assistance, thought maybe they were having car trouble or something like that. And after a registration check on the vehicle, it came back that the vehicle was stolen, and I think the driver had actually even told him that it was stolen before he ran the registration, and he after further investigating, he found that the vehicle had actually been stolen twice. The man who was in the vehicle finally admitted that he had kicked a man out earlier who had actually stolen the vehicle and stolen it from him.
Now, if I understand this correctly, the gentleman stopped with the vehicle had actually been hitchhiking and
he'd been hitchhiking. Man had picked him up and had actually told him that he had stolen the vehicle out of, I believe, Conway, Arkansas. And then I believe they stopped off somewhere, and he kicked him out and took his car.
Did we get a description of the first guy from the second guy?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
This gentleman was placed in Hopkins County Jail?
Placed in Hopkins County Jail. Conway, Arkansas has been notified, and they have a hold has been placed on the vehicle, and I guess the owner will be notified by them.
As far as local police, will just be a matter of getting this individual sent back to Conway, or?
Yes, they'll extradite. They also have a warrant for his arrest for a parole violation out of Conway, Arkansas.
Sulphur Springs High School Marching Band placed second in their division at the Sylvania Alamo Bowl Marching Contest during the Christmas New Year holiday, according to band director Charles McCauley. The percussion and color guard were named Best in Show. The band was in San Antonio at the invitation of the Alamo Bowl, where they performed at halftime.
Well, we had a great time. It was a great trip. Really excited about the way the kids represented the school and the community, and we just had a great time. We were able to participate in a marching band contest where our band came in second in our class, and then in a parade contest which included the bands from all the classes. There were 3 classes, a small, a medium, and a large class. Our guard got outstanding guard, and our percussion got outstanding percussion. So, and they didn't place the bands. They picked an overall winner in that. We did not win that, but our guard and our percussion did. So we were very excited about it, and our first chance to go to this kind of event, and I thought the kids represented our area well, and it was a great time.
The guard and percussion group have won several awards this year in specific instances.
They have. This is the 3rd time that the guard has been chosen and awarded for outstanding guard. They won outstanding guard at the Cedar Creek contest in Maybank, and then they also won that same award at Parkway in Bossier City, Louisiana, and then they won it at San Antonio. So that's good. And the percussion has also received some, so I believe they've received some first division. This is their first outstanding award, I think. But so that was really good, and just, you know, I've told the kids we have gone to 5 different contests this year, which is a lot. But each contest had a little bit of different scoring system, and at each of the contests, you know, we were either the top or right at the top, and so that's really good to be that consistent for the whole season long. So it was a great way to end the year.
Next year, you hoping to get an invitation to a special event?
Well, probably not next year. We usually do things, these big trips are usually every other year, and so we'll have a little time to be off. And I'm not sure, you know, if we'll do a bowl game next time or not. If we do have that opportunity, we'll look into it. There are a lot of things that we like to do, a lot of things that there are out there that we can participate in. But this is a great time, and I think one of the great things about this was, even though it was during the holidays, we had a lot of families who came down and spent time, and, you know, kind of had a different little after Christmas family time, and they may not have gotten to see their kids a whole lot, but they did have time to spend some time with them on the Riverwalk and see them at a contest and at the game and stuff. So it was great, and the game was great. We had a game that came down to the very last play, and big crowds, and it was just really exciting.
Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
Okay, are there any questions or discussions?
And sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
Tuesday night during the Sulphur Springs City Council meeting, City Manager Mark Maxwell made his monthly report to the council.
I'm pleased to report that we are nearing the end of our capital construction expansion at the water treatment plant. That dual construction is just very nearly finished with their work. We expect that they'll actually finish up this week. So we'll be wrapping that up soon. We may still have some outstanding legal issues regarding liquidated damages. We may not. We'll see how that unfolds. I'm also pleased to report that Sisk Utilities, the contractor we awarded the bid to for doing the two bores one under 19 and one under 11 for the alternate discharge line. He is on the site. He's completed one of the bores and will likely complete the other this week. At the wastewater treatment plant, if you'll recall last month I had reported to you that they had some problems out there that they couldn't quite identify, but it did cause them to exceed our permit limitations for total suspended solids. It happened again in December. However, this time Craig Vaughn and his staff were able to isolate the problem. We did not violate our permit. They were able to keep the plant running within its permitted limits, and they've taken corrective action. Apparently the problem was a plugged sludge line on one of our primary clarifiers, and that can have a domino effect down the rest of the treatment process. So that should be taken care of. I'm also pleased to report to you that we have finally, after 3.5 years, received our wastewater discharge permit from TNRCC. As you recall, we applied for a permit some time ago that would increase our effluent limitations on TSS from 5 to 15 milligrams per liter. We argued that the limitations at the time were excessively stringent and did not allow us any kind of breathing room in the event that we had outside factors affect our operations, such as an industry dumping a heavy solids load on the plant. And in fact, that has happened. We have this last month, or the prior month, violated our permit. So they have finally issued us a permit with TSS limitations of 12 milligrams per liter, basically in the summer months, and 15 milligrams per liter in the winter months. On the capital improvements front, the Capital Construction Division is working on Carter Street and Coleman Lake. As you might recall, Carter Street is a sewer and water construction project, and they're working on the sewer at this time. At Coleman Park, I've been getting quite a few questions recently about what's the activity on the top of the dam. That's construction of the walking path. We're working at it in a few different areas right now. The bulk of the grading has been completed around the lake, and that has allowed the activity to pick up both for the walking path and for other items such as the waterfall. I'm told that we began forming the foundation for the waterfall today. At the airport, construction has been moving a bit slow lately. However, it is nearing completion. I don't expect the terminal really to be finished until sometime in February. The parking lot and entrance road are essentially complete. The exterior block walls have been constructed, the sheetrock is up, and it needs to be finished out at this point. We did have 2 worker compensation claims in December, a bit more serious than we usually see. One of our tactical narcotics team officers, in fact the commander, fell as he climbed over a gate during a drug raid. He fractured some ribs. He lost a day of time, but he's back at work. He's one tough employee. Another employee re-injured his knee. He was previously injured on the job, and he'll be off indefinitely. We also had 1 minor liability claim from the sewer backup. I've attached a list of miscellaneous items that I usually do. I believe Peter has produce a financial summary that you have in front of you, although it's a bit early in the year to really derive anything from the report. I'm sure he'll answer any questions if they have them. And that concludes my report.
Sulphur Springs High School Wildcats take on Texas High Friday night at Wildcat Gym. It's the District 14 4A opener for the Cats. KSST will broadcast the game at approximately 7:30. The freshman game begins at 4:30, followed by the junior varsity game at 6. Varsity coach Steve Glover says the Wildcats are ready to start district play.
We've had pretty much all week to prepare for it and get ready for it. I think the guys are really itching to play. We didn't get to play Tuesday. We had an open date, and we did some scrimmage things Tuesday and some game situations late in the game. And we've broken down what they basically are doing offensively and defensively from what we know, and just been a little bit each day working on it. And I think guys are ready to play. I think we're ready to play the game, and hope everybody come out and support us. It's going to be a big game. It's just one of 10 district games, but it's a big one because it's our first one starting out, and it really puts us in good shape. We can take care of that one.
Well, you had a chance to see Texas High this past weekend?
No, we didn't get to see them there. They were going to play the Russian team. There was 3 opportunities early in the year to see them play, and we were always playing the same night. And I always like to try to see my opponents, so I've done a lot of calling of coaches that have played them, and two of the 3 that we could have gotten, they didn't film. And so I've collected, what we did is we collected stuff from what they did last year and what coaches told me, and general information. Coach Sinclair had gotten some stuff, and so we compiled it for our scouting report. They haven't changed a whole lot. The thing we know a little bit about, but we'll have to really kind of piece together as we get into the game is the personnel. We know what the personnel will do and who they are, basically. But we're more concerned with what they're going to try to do as a group, and we've got that down pretty well. So, but they're supposed to play the Russian team Monday night, and the Russian team that we played, 6 of them contracted chicken pox, and so they had to cancel the games Monday morning. And I just happened to look on the internet to make sure everything was still go, and I called Coach McManus over there. Yeah, they had chicken pox, so they're not going to be able to play. So the good thing is they're going to get to travel, and they haven't seen us either, as far as I know, and they've got to make a road game, and they haven't played since last Friday either. So we're both going to have about a 7 or 8 day break here coming in to play the game, but they've got to get on bus and travel. So I think that's an advantage for us. And but we pretty much know the guys that are my experienced guys that have played Texas High for the last 2 or 3 years. They know what to expect. They're gonna run a 4 out, and they're gonna throw the ball inside, and if we sag, they're gonna kick it back out and shoot 3s, and they're gonna run the break and run helter-skelter up and down the floor. We know what we need to do with that, but we spent most of the week trying to continue to get better at the things that we do, and then show a few little options of things that if we get into a bind, we can run this defense to help us here, or run this little offense to help us here, and because this time of year, there's not any basketball teams that aren't going to do anything that's a surprise that we haven't seen. And we played teams that are good or better than Texas High early in the year and the middle of the year, so we should have the experience. And we've seen a lot of teams in the last 7 or 8. They're very similar to what Texas High does and what they like to do. So we feel pretty good about it. It's just been a long week. This time of year, when you get back from Christmas and working out 3 or 4 days, the kids are so used, they want to play. And we've had so many home games that we're ready to play, and I hope we'll come out strong, come out fast, and I think we will. I think it'll be an exciting game. I think every district game that's played in the boys' side is going to be competitive like the girls has already on their side. I think anybody can beat anybody any night. So, but our job is to go one at a time, because you get that done, you go to the playoffs, they're one at a time as well. So it's our first one, and that's our biggest one, and our record now is 0-0, but everybody's 0-0. So, but we pretty much know what they're going to do, and I think we're going to be prepared for it, and we're going to give us our best shot.
Freshman 4:30?
Yeah, freshman's at 4:30, JV right after about 6, and then varsity game usually will probably start 7:30-ish, 7:45. I tell everybody probably get there 7:20 to make sure they don't miss the tip and everything, because I think it's going to be, from tip to finish, it's going to be an exciting game, and I really feel good about it. I think our kids feel good about it. My kids are playing, the guys are really playing with a lot of confidence, or they're walking with a lot of confidence. We've gotten that over the last 6 or 7 ball games, and we've beaten some good teams. And we're going to go into district, and I think we've got just as good a shot as anybody else winning district championship.
Lady Cats soccer will be at home against Terrell Friday night. When the Lady Cats take the field at Gerald Prim Stadium, they'll be without the services of Courtney Stageberg. Courtney broke a toe this week. Varsity coach, Kathy Weaver.
Going to play Terrell for the first time. We're going to play them here, and then we're going to get to go back over there and play them again later this month, right before we start our district play against Commerce. Had some bad news yesterday. Courtney Steigerberg broke her toe.
That's not good news at all for your team. She's been one of the keys to your play.
Yes, she has. But I really do have several that can come in and start trying to fill her shoes, but it's going to be a hard job. Hadn't even seen Terrell play. Watched last weekend's Dallas paper. They handled a few teams pretty easily. They don't have the numbers of kids that we have, but I think they're a pretty good team too. So
probably have a lot of kids playing club ball out of the Dallas area. When you look back at what you've experienced so far, I know it hasn't been a real upper for you with some losses here, but it's given the girls some opportunity to play and probably given you some things that you've seen that you can work on.
Well, being in the John Tyler tournament is that is a step up for my kids, playing teams that have had teams for years. Jimmy, John Tyler beat us 2-0. I was real pleased at our performance. We beat a team that beat us last year, Tyler Chapel Hill. My girls did a super good job. Our defense is having a little bit of trouble. Played Greenville in the mud and the rain. We were very tentative, weren't aggressive. I think we were tired. We left at 6:30 Saturday morning, and I don't know, they did not play like they needed to, but then we played over there Monday night and took the same little whipping that we had taken on Saturday. But we really did. We stepped up and played all right. We've had a change of attitude. Maybe I should say I've had a change of attitude. I don't think it hurts us to play the teams that are better than us going into the season. Gave us some good experience, some things to look for, gave us some things to work on. We'll work on those against Terrell on Friday night.
Although the Wildcat soccer team did not have a game this week, it did give new coach Aaron Cottrell an opportunity to take a hard look at his Cats.
We played Kilgore tournament. We played Jacksonville on Thursday. We came out, we lost 2-0 on that one. We had our goalie, Colby Peak, was sick. He got sick before the game. But like you said, I got to see exactly, what we had, and it really helped this week in practice to know exactly what we needed to work on. So we looked really good as a team, the teamwork, but there's a lot of just organization, getting back on defense and corner kick set plays that we've been working on. So that really helped.
Well, you came back and you won the next two games. I guess Kobe was healthy for those.
Right. Well, the second game he was still feeling pretty weak. The third game he played great. He's a lot more vocal. You could tell that he wasn't as sick. Second game we were down 2-0 against Kaufman. We ended up winning 3-2. The guys fought hard at the end. It was a little sloppy game, sloppy field. Blake Burchill scored 3 goals that game. Then the next game we turned around and played Palestine in the rain and mud, beat them, I believe it was 2-1. So we played a lot better that game too. We got gradually better every game. So,
well, that's what you're looking for, is to continue seeing improvement. You've had this week off, but that's probably been a very healthy thing for you.
Right. I've only been working with them for 2.5 weeks. So, I'm working on intensity in practice and organizing, everything. And, every day in practice you can tell teamwork's getting a lot better, and just the interaction between the team and I is getting better. So we're looking for big things in the future.
Now you've got some games coming up next week.
Right. We play at Denison on Tuesday. Then we turn around Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We have a tournament at Laterno in Longview. So we start out playing Henderson, and then we play winner, loser of Jacksonville and Marshall. So there's a lot of competitive teams this tournament, and we'll see what we can do right here. This is a primer before we start district.
I was going to say district starts pretty quick for you, and you're going to get in a bunch of games though before district starts.
Right. We'll get at least 4 games next week. You know, we've been having a lot of good practices, and then we start out with Mount Pleasant, you know, our district rival, first game here. So, you know, one of the most important district games at our home turf.
Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
Features and sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSS.
Alliance Bank Field was dedicated at Coleman Park Friday morning. A rock marker sandblasted with the name Alliance Bank Field and the scoreboard reflect the field name. Sulphur Springs Alliance Bank President Tom Sellers and Chairman of the Alliance Bank Board, L.F. Bridges III, said sponsoring the field reflected a commitment to community youth, a long-term commitment, a long tradition for the bank.
We've always been involved in the community, and this is another way we can show our community involvement. This is a great facility out here, the park, and not only the ball fields and soccer fields and walking track and the lake and everything that's part of this park is just a real asset to the community, and we're proud to be a part of that asset.
Alliance Bank's always been a big sponsor of sporting events, recreational sports here in Sulphur Springs.
We have. We enjoy doing that, and that's one way we give back to the community and give the children of our community an opportunity to participate.
As CEO of Alliance Bank, you guys have been involved in things forever in Sulphur.
Yeah, our commitment to youth has been a lifelong thing to me. The bank was committed to youth long before I came in the bank, and we still are.
Keith Shurtleff, chairman for the Parks and Recreation Commission, said sponsors for each field at Coleman Park are sought.
Oh, we're just elated. This donation for this field and the opportunity for one of our local businesses to come in here and for the next 20 years be associated with the park. Well, we think it's a wonderful thing. We really appreciate Alliance Bank and their support in this effort. We hope that other businesses in the area will see this as an opportunity that they might also participate in. We have 5 other fields here in this complex and soccer fields as well that we'd be happy to visit with any business that wanted to participate at this sort of level in this manner. We'd be happy to visit with them.
You know, it's a good advertising tool because when you have tournaments and so forth, people come here, you will be able to denote what field they're playing on by the name of the field as opposed to a number or a color or something.
Which is the idea, and we're already looking at the scheduling for the spring, and we're just getting started with the tournaments that we're going to bring in, with the local league play, with an adult league that we're trying to get set up. There are going to be literally thousands of people pass through this complex each year, and of course everyone that does is going to see the name of the business that's on the field, whether it's their field or another field, and that's going to be outstanding advertising value for the businesses involved.
And how does one get involved in this if they want to?
They can either call me, or they can call Mark, or they can call Peter Karsten at the city. We'd be happy to visit with them, explain to them what opportunities we've got and what level of participations are available. One of the things that, as we went through and tried to get this project in budget the first time, there weren't any scorekeeper stands for these fields. This money will be used to purchase those scorekeeper stands. There will be one behind each field so that there can be a scoreboard operator and a scorekeeper, which is pretty important for the play, and that's what's going to be done with this money.
Representatives of the City of Sulphur Springs and Alliance Bank participated in the event, including City Manager Mark Maxwell.
This is the official unveiling of the Alliance Bank Field sign. This is the Alliance Bank Field that will be serving the city for years to come, and I'd like to thank the bank for a very generous donation that will go towards many useful things here in the park. The whole idea of the sign is to keep it natural. We've gone to great lengths park to keep it in a natural setting. We've made a lot of use of the rock, and this just kind of makes it all consistent. So I think we'll see that for the other 5 fields as well.
City and county law enforcement officers and firemen were honored Friday morning by regional and local officials of the U.S. Post Office. Ceremonies were conducted at the Sulphur Springs Post Office. Local Postmaster Larry Cole served as Master of Ceremonies. Kelly Fletcher, middle school band director, played taps and the Star-Spangled Banner as the flag was raised to half-staff.
America forged a new national spirit, founded in patriotism, not nationalism. Approximately 3,000 people died when terrorists hijacked 2 planes and then flew them through the heart of the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers of New York. The same day, 2 other planes were hijacked. One was flown into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. The other one was forced to crash in Pennsylvania by the people flying on the plane. They were not about to become a part of another national tragedy. Heroes in that plane. While hundreds of people ran from the World Trade Center after the crashes, firemen and policemen ran to the buildings. That was their job. That's what they're there for. They were there to help rescue people, to fight the fires, to evacuate as many people as possible, try to assess the actual damage, and to deal with the situation. The requirements of their job placed them in harm's way and ultimately cost them their lives. Those 2 buildings had working staffs in excess of 10,000 people, and they were demolished. But due to the gallant effort of the police and the firemen working those buildings, many, many lives were saved. If you take into consideration the number of employees who were working above the crash sites on both of those buildings who had no weight to get out, and then you add the number of policemen and firemen that are known dead as a result of that tragedy, you can see that most of the people below the crash points actually got out of the buildings. And that's because of the efforts of the fire department and the policemen and the medical emergency personnel on site. With the assistance of the mayor of Sulphur Springs, the post office is going to officially recognize the contributions made by the Hopkins County Sheriff's Department, the Sulphur Springs Police Department, and the Sulphur Springs Fire Department. Those are the groups we're recognizing today. But that in no way ignores the other people in this community that also assist us. The state troopers, any of the outlying cities, they all play a valued part of our community's responsibilities and requirements. The flag raising ceremony and special recognition ceremony pays tribute to the patriotism, the dedication, and the courage of our local police, sheriff's department, and firefighters, who serve so that others may continue to live in peace and in safety in this community. The Postal Service issued the United We Stand stamp on October the 24th, 2001, as a reminder to all Americans of our patriotic spirit, our united purpose, our pride, and our determination. Together, we remain more dedicated than ever to not let these cowardly acts of terrorism deter us from our missions to bind the nation and our community together.
City Mayor Bernice Fitzgerald read a proclamation.
Mr. Cole has stated what I feel. I think we've got some of the greatest firefighters and policemen and deputies and sheriff in any county that we could live in. And I appreciate them. I have been in the city council this is my 3rd year. And I've grown to appreciate the policemen, and especially I've gotten acquainted with the new fire chief and the new police chief. They are super, and all of their men has to be above average, or I don't think they would employ them, and I appreciate their efforts. The City of Sulphur Springs, Texas proclamation. Whereas over 150 years ago, United States commemorative stamps began honoring the people, places, and events that shape our country's history. And whereas on October the 24th, 2001, the United States Postal Service introduced a new stamp, United We Stand, as a fitting tribute to the invigorated patriotic spirit of our nation to unite together in purpose, pride, and determination following the tragic events on September 11, 2001. And whereas according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are more than 2.3 million U.S. workers employed in protective service occupations. And whereas it is important that we pause to pay tribute to the patriotism and valor of dedicated policemen, firefighters, and other law enforcement officers who valiantly protect the welfare of all of Sulphur Springs. And whereas on January the 11th, 2002, the Sulphur Springs Post Office will hold a flag-raising ceremony in tribute to police officers and firefighters. And whereas the United We Stand stamp and the United Postal Service logo tribute will help Sulphur Springs and all Americans focus on the valor, courage, and dedication of these people, many of whom are our neighbors, friends, and family members who work to ensure a safe and secure life for all of us. Now, therefore, I, Bernice Fitzgerald, Mayor of Sulphur Springs, Texas, do hereby proclaim January the 11th, 2002 as United We Stand Day. Thank you.
Well, what they actually have is they have a picture of the flag being raised over the World Trade Center, the one that made national headlines. Down on the left, it has the New York Fire Department badge with the bereavement patch over it. Has the police department shield, same thing. And then has the cap emblem they wear for the police department of New York. And then it has a copy of the United We Stand stamp, and it's been canceled with United We Stand station at Dallas on January the 11th, 2002, which is today. So we've done something fantastic. We got these canceled this morning and got them here for y'all today. It's one of the miracles the post office can pull. So each one of the three that we're going to honor here today, we're not honoring them specifically, we're honoring their organizations, but as the chief of that organization, that's how we do that.
Cole presented a picture of the flag raising by firemen at Ground Zero in New York City, along with a copy of the mayor's proclamation to County Sheriff's Deputy Lieutenant Henry Turner, to Sulphur Springs Chief of Police Jim Bayuk, and to City Fire Marshal Gary Cleaver. Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
And sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
According to the Texas Labor Market Review published by the Texas Workforce Commission, non-agricultural employment in Texas declined for the second consecutive month with a loss of 6,800 jobs in November. Bright spots for Texas employment are found in major divisions of trade and construction, manufacturing and transportation, communications, and public utilities suffered November's largest job losses. Unemployment in Hopkins County for November, 3.9%. For the city of Sulphur Springs, 4.7%. Sulphur Springs High School Academic UIL team won sweepstakes again at the Paris Junior College North Lamar Academic Invitational. The locals scored 448 points compared to second-place Paris High School's 243 points. Leanne Werner is Academic UIL Coordinator at Sulphur Springs High School.
We went this last weekend to the North Lamar Paris Junior College Academic Tournament, and we won the Division I sweepstakes with 448 points, and Paris High School came in second place with 243 points. And we had a lot of individual winners. Our first place individual winners were Yolanda Coster in Number Sense and Computer Science, Clay Harrison in Ready Writing, Shelby Bolton in Editorial Writing, Ryan Sr. in Calculator Applications, Ben Cuttrell, General Math and Current Issues and Events, Ashton Rush, Spelling and Vocabulary, Zach Kelty, Poetry Interpretation, Shelby Armstrong, Prose Interpretation, and Whitney Thompson in Feature Writing. And our second place individual winners were Alan Armstrong in Number Sense, Shelby Armstrong, Ready Writing, Zach Kelty, Cross-X Debate, Adam Panter, Cross-X Debate, Ben Cuttrell, Calculator, Yolanda Coster, General Math, Kendra Wallace, Editorial Writing, Laura Townsend in News Writing and Headline Writing, Stephen Simpson in Accounting, Vanessa Yostin, Computer Applications, Jason Trout, Computer Science, and Lauren Owens in Current Issues and Events. Our third place winners were Rhea DeWitt in Number Sense, Alan Armstrong, General Math, Will Longino, Science, Pat McDonald, Editorial Writing, Jessica Johnson, Spelling and Vocabulary, Ian Wells, Prose Interpretation, Ryan Sr., Current Issues and Events, Kendra Wallace, Feature Writing, and Whitney Thompson in Headline Writing. Our fourth place winners were Brandon Oswald in Ready Writing, Ryan Sr., General Math, Emily Morris, Spelling and Vocabulary, Jonathan Bennett, Computer Applications, and Laura Thompson in Feature Writing. Our fifth place winners were David Johnson in Number Sense, Amanda Thompson, Spelling and Vocabulary, and Pat McDonald in Headline Writing. And we had one sixth place winner, Rhea DeWitt, in Calculator Applications. And our team winners were, our first place team winners were Yolanda Coster, Alan Armstrong, Rhea DeWitt in Number Sense, Ryan Sr., Ben Cuttrell, Rhea DeWitt in Calculator Applications, Ben Cuttrell, Yolanda Coster, and Alan Armstrong in General Math, Ashton Rush, Jessica Johnson, and Emily Morris in Spelling and Vocabulary, Yolanda Coster, Jason Trout, Jessica Johnson, and Rhea DeWitt in Computer Science, and Ben Cuttrell, Lauren Owens, and Ryan Sr. in Current Issues and Events. And we had one second place team that was Will Longino, Alan Armstrong, and Rachel Flatt in Science.
You know, one of the things we were concerned about coming into this year, we graduated a number of students last year that had placed well. We were concerned about how well we would do in this next year, but here's some new names on this list, and it sounds like we're still moving forward.
We have several freshmen that are competing in the practice meets, as well as sophomores, juniors, and seniors, new kids that haven't competed in the past. We're having a lot of interest in each contest this year. So we're looking forward to good things because we've got a lot of interest. We have 3 new coaches this year. We have Amy McGallion coaching science, we have Jane Smith coaching accounting, and we have Ann Webster coaching computer science. So,
with these younger students coming on, of course, the middle school program has been very successful in academic UIL competition, and that is basically preparing these students to move into the high school level, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It definitely is.
Tickets are on sale for the annual Hopkins County Chamber of Commerce banquet, planned for February 7th. Sonny Walden tells us about the banquet.
It's coming up on February the 7th. Everyone needs to hurry up and get their tickets because they're going fast. Our theme this year is People, Pride, Progress. It has a patriotic theme. We have a lot of people involved. It's going to be really great, and I hope everyone can come. The jazz band will be playing for us. The Northeast Texas Choral Society will be singing for us. We're going to have the U.S. Army Color Guard there to present the colors. It's going to be really exciting, I think. Jeff Harris is here to tell us about our speaker that we're going to have, and I'm also very excited about him. I think he's going to be great.
Jeff, tell us about our speaker for this.
Jimmy, we're really excited this year. We have Casey Pipes coming. Casey is the Associate Director of Strategic Initiatives at the White House. And it's kind of neat to have a West Winger come in and speak to us. He's also a graduate of Texas Public Schools. He went to high school in Fort Worth at Southwest High School, then went to Abilene Christian University. Then went to work for Ronald Reagan in 1996 for his office in California. And then worked also with a couple of other Congress people before he went in about a year and a half, 2 years ago, with the Bush campaign, and was the lead speechwriter for Dick Cheney, and also writes speeches for all the Bush family, including the president and former president too. Casey is an incredible speaker, and he's going to be an incredible person to have with us, because think about the history he's seen in the last 14 months, you know, an election that'll go down for all time. And then he was actually in the West Wing on September the 11th when all this came down in New York City. And so he's got some incredible stories to tell us about how proud citizen he is, and what a great thing it is to be a part of a government like we have and a country like we have. And he's got some great stories to talk about what it means to be a proud American.
Well, this obviously keeping with the patriotic theme, but also a speaker who kind of transcends even the sense of patriotism to talk about the moment, the history of the moment.
Oh, no doubt. If you can imagine from our perspective, just from a distance, how those events affected our lives, both the election and also, of course, September 11th. But to think about what it must have been like to be firsthand involved with our government, and I mean be right inside the White House, and also be inside the governor's mansion during the election last year, and just to be a part of history up close and personal at such a young age. And the exciting thing about Casey is he is a young man. He's in his he's about 30 years of age, early 30s. He's got an incredible career ahead of him, and I think years from now we're going to all say what a blessing it was to have Casey Pipes speak at our chamber banquet.
And tickets?
They're $15. They're on sale right now. If you normally reserve a table or you like to sit in a certain place, please call Pam at the chamber and go ahead and get that reserved so we can get more people to come this year.
Promoters of Fantasy of Lights are seeking public participation as plans are being made for the 2002 Christmas holiday display. Thursday at 5 p.m. at Plain and Fancy Sandwich Shop, downtown Sulphur Springs, the second meeting of interested persons and organizations will take place, according to Sonny Walden.
It will be this Thursday at 5 o'clock at Plain and Fancy. It will be our second organizational meeting, so if you didn't get to attend the first one, you'll have another opportunity to attend this one. We hope to get a lot accomplished, form a committee, elect officers, discuss the bylaws, really get a lot of things accomplished for the Fantasy of Lights so we can make it grow and expand to be more beautiful each year.
Well, I know that you had a small turnout in that first one. Are you changing the time up to try to facilitate more people?
The time does have a factor in it. I know a lot of people work until 5 o'clock. Lunch breaks are really hard to work with because everybody does their errands, seems like, during the lunch break. So we are going to try to do it at 5 o'clock, see if we can get more of a turnout, and if not, that's fine, but it'd be great to have a lot more people there.
Having it downtown, trying to involve the people in downtown with this event?
Yes, we are trying to get as many downtown merchants involved as possible. Also, everybody knows where the square is. They're not afraid to go there, and having it at a restaurant is also a good benefit.
One of the things that you're looking at doing is trying to spread this across the community also. So people from neighborhoods that are thinking about doing something together as a neighborhood, wanting to involve them.
We want to get as many people as involved as possible, the whole community. I think this should be a great community-wide event, stretch it from downtown all the way to Walmart. But to do that, we're going to need to get everyone involved, and I think that will take lots of excitement from the community. And so we need someone to help us get that inspired in these people to be a part of our Christmas display.
The Sulphur Springs School Board meets in regular session Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock in the Administration Building Boardroom. Adult softball program for 2002, installation of birdhouses at Coleman Park, construction of a fishing pier at Coleman Lake, and scheduling the grand opening of Coleman Park are among items on the agenda for the Sulphur Springs Parks and Recreation Commission as they meet Tuesday night, 7 p.m. in the City Council chamber. And don't forget, tickets are now on sale for a benefit for Tacey Rollerson, granddaughter of Patsy and Butch Bolton. Tacey was diagnosed with retinoblastoma when she was 7 months old. She's been both an inpatient and outpatient of Children's Medical Center in Houston for the past 2 years. The event is sponsored by members of the Sulphur Springs Independent School District Administration, faculty, and staff. A one-day seminar featuring Dr. Eric Cupp will deal with family issues at Shannon Oaks Church February 9th. Tickets for the benefit, $20. Proceeds benefit Tacey's medical expenses at Children's Medical Center in Houston. For tickets, contact Nina Williams at Sulphur Springs Independent School District Administration Building. Tuesday night, the Lady Cats face North Lamar at Wildcat Gym as the locals seek to win 4 in a row in district play. The Lady Cats, 3-0 in district, are set for a 6:30 varsity start. The junior varsity game will precede the varsity game. The JV began at 5 o'clock. KSST Radio will broadcast Tuesday's game and will videotape the game for replay here on Channel 18 Saturday evening at 6 o'clock. Friday night, the ladies are in Mount Pleasant. The Wildcats, 0-1 in district, following a loss to Texas High in District 14 4A Boys Division opener, are at North Lamar Tuesday. They'll be at home against Mount Pleasant on Friday. KSST Radio will broadcast the boys' Friday game. We'll also videotape it for replay on Channel 18 Saturday evening. Lady Cat Soccer takes on Chapel Hill Tuesday night in Tyler. They're in Mesquite on Saturday. The Saturday game will be played at Mesquite Memorial Stadium with a 3 p.m. varsity start. Wildcat Soccer is in Denison Tuesday. They're in tournament play in Laterno and Longview Thursday through Saturday. The Lady Panthers of North Hopkins lost to Bland Friday, 70-38. Sarah Weir scored 25 of the 38 points. 30 turnovers hurt the Lady Panther outing. Tuesday night is Jam the Gym night at North Hopkins when they take on Bowles in a district opener. In other area games, Sulphur Bluff is at home this week, Tuesday against James Bowie, Thursday against Avery. Saltillo is at Cumbie Thursday, Miller Grove at Avenger Tuesday, and they host Union Hill on Friday. Yantis is at Martins Mill on Tuesday. Como-Picton travels to Edgewood Tuesday. They're at home against Abergolden on Friday, and Mount Vernon is at Winsboro Tuesday. They're at Quitman on Friday. Thanks for watching News Notebook. Have a great evening.
Features and sports. Written, edited, and produced by the KSST Channel 18 News staff.
County Board seeks to improve transportation in the Greenville, Paris, Sulphur Springs, Golden Triangle, according to Bill Elliott, Executive Director for the Hopkins County Chamber of Commerce and co-chair of a subcommittee of the group. Thursday, members of the committee will meet with Congressman Max Sandlin to discuss area needs, including the widening of State Highway 24, State Highway 19, and designating Interstate 30 as a NAFTA highway. That meeting will take place in Paris. They also seek to expand rail service for the old Cotton Belt line to give Blackland Railroad access to DFW Airport. They seek to create a regional feeder airport at Majors Field in Greenville. Congressman Sandlin is a member of the House Transportation Committee. Regarding the needs, Elliott told KSST Channel 18 News Tuesday morning,
I'm a co-chairman of a committee that's been formed out of our subcommittee. It's been formed out of the Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Group that's formed recently out of the 4 counties, Lamar, Hopkins, Hunt, and Delta counties. And we have joined forces to try to do some things transportation-wise that maybe each individual county couldn't do by themselves. We meet with Max over in Paris this Thursday to talk about some issues, 3 of our major points that we want to bring to their attention and to get some action on. One is a designation of I-30 as a NAFTA corridor, which right now it is not. So the funds that are going to these I-35 and these other corridors in the country are not coming to I-30, although we see the trucks on it all the time. So we know it's become a NAFTA artery, and we just need to be able to get some of the funding that's available for that purpose. Another thing that we're involved in is the 4-laning of Highway 50 and 24 through from Commerce and to Cooper to the 19 cutoff, where it becomes 4-lane. It's 2-lane through that one stretch to Greenville and needs to be completed. Also, Highway 19. Of course, they've just done some work on 19, but what we're pushing for is the designation as a Super 2 two-lane highway, which gives us passing lanes every so often on the hills, so that traffic will move a little smoother when slow-moving vehicles are around. And I know there's a lot of slow-moving vehicles, trucks, a lot of truck traffic on that road, plus tractors and other things. And it's just almost impossible to pass in a lot of areas there. The Super 2 designation would widen that a little bit and put that fifth passing lane in there where necessary. So those are the three major points this mobility group has come up with to act upon, but there are other subcommittees working also as well. One for rail transportation, which is to complete the old Cotton Belt line where the tracks have been removed from Greenville to Wiley, get that back in operation again so our short line railroad operator can have access to DFW Airport. That's one of the things they're doing, plus Amtrak. We're still on the burner with Amtrak. I know the government hadn't yet provided any funding to bring that train through here, but we're still in their sights, and I think eventually we'll wind up with some Amtrak service. Airport transportation is another issue that we're going to talk about. We have a meeting over in Commerce the 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd, with some of the leaders in Hunt County to encourage them to talk about making Majors Field in Greenville, where the Raytheon company is. That's also the city municipal airport, and it's a 10,000 foot length runway and capable of handling large commercial airplanes. And we're trying to push for that to be a regional or feeder airport for DFW, where we would have some air traffic close by, within 30 minutes drive of Paris and Sulphur Springs, instead of having to drive to DFW. And that'll help a lot of our businesses, a lot of our pleasure travelers too would be helped by that. And so those are issues that this Mobility Council is working on. We're meeting over in Commerce at A&M Commerce each time. They have been so helpful in hosting these meetings because it's a nice central location for all these four counties. And we had yesterday, as a matter of fact, at our meeting, David Dean, who's a past Secretary of State and now lobbyist, state lobbyist, spoke with us. He has been hired as lobbyist for the Tex 21 group, which is a statewide group addressing transportation issues. We're kind of coattailing on that organization with our group, and he came in and made some suggestions and gave us some ideas, some things we need to be doing as well. And so we're going to probably tie into the Tex 21 organization monetarily so that we can be part of a larger group yet with a lot more voices.
Do you find with Sandlin, recently Congressman Sandlin made a comment about trucks from Mexico, and he was somewhat opposed to trucks in Mexico the way they are coming onto our highways and so forth. Do you find that he's going to be a hard sell as it relates to making 30 a NAFTA highway?
Jimmy, at this point we don't know. Some of these designations have already been made. They're fact, and the money's being funneled to them. Our I-30 that comes through Sulphur Springs and these counties here in northeast Texas is going to take the same wear and tear and have the same obstacles and problems with these trucks coming from Canada and Mexico that everybody else does, but we're not getting the money to fund it, to take care of the situation. It's not really a fair thing, although not everything in life is fair. We're going to do our best to change his mind, and he's on the Transportation Committee in Washington, so he is in a perfect place to help us out with these issues.
Has any study been done as it relates to the number? I know we know the increase in the number of trucks that are coming through this area, but has there been a study made comparing, say, traffic on 35, traffic on 20, traffic on 30?
I'm sure there has. I don't have those figures, but the latest figures I heard on I-30 was that 45% of the traffic was truck traffic on I-30 now. And that's been probably several months ago that I heard that figure, so that may have increased or not, I don't know. But I do know that I see the Mexican trucks myself living on I-30 and traveling on it daily. I see those trucks and I see Canadian trucks with Canadian markings on them and Canadian license plates as well as the Mexican license plates. So I know we're getting the traffic. We're just not getting the support from the federal government that goes along with that NAFTA designation. And that's what we're working for.
4 counties represented on this board. Obviously, we're looking at trying to increase the clout that the counties have.
Absolutely. Now, this group is made up of county judges from these 4 counties, of city managers from the 4 cities, the major cities are involved, as well as chamber officials, EDC officials are all involved in this thing. It's a widespread strong group, and I think we're going to create a little notice for ourselves by banding together, and this regionalization seems to be the way to go, the wave of the future. You can't do much as Hopkins County, but when you put yourself in with 4 other counties, which we've also done, by the way, with this amphitheater project, the same 4 counties are involved in that, and that's going along well, and we've found that we might have found a key to opening a lot of doors.
Some people would say that if we widen 24 from Greenville to Cooper to, well, to Greenville to Commerce to Cooper, you know, so forth on through there, that, you know, we're providing an alternative route for folks as opposed to coming through Sulphur Springs. But do you find that when you increase traffic lanes in one direction, the traffic from other directions increases along with it?
Well, the traffic that's going to go that direction is already going that direction. It's 4-lane most of the way already. There's just a short piece of highway, by the way, that Mr. Sandlin, Congressman Sandlin, has provided $1 million recently, just announced it, as a matter of fact, to purchase some of the right-of-way to make this happen. We need another $1.5 million to finish the right-of-way purchase, but that's not going to drag any more people off the interstate than are already being pulled off at Greenville to come through and bypass Sulphur Springs, if you will. The folks coming up 19 are going to need the improvements that we're working on, and this same 4 counties is working on 19 just like they are the 24. They're just as encouraged and concerned about NAFTA designation for I-30 as they are, as we are, because even though they're not sitting on I-30, Paris is not sitting on it, Cooper's not sitting on it, but the fact is it's in the close proximity. One of the things that David Dean suggested was to come up with a location which we have a triangle from Greenville to Paris to Sulphur Springs is what we're calling a golden triangle, and that's the area we're concentrating on. And he gave us a suggestion to make that a free port designation, so that goods being transferred from Canada or from Mexico can have a spot there where they can get the certifications for all the states along the route, both directions, and have it all done at one time. And not have to be stopped at every state that they go through to get the proper certifications and all that. That would be a major coup for us if we can put that together and make that happen, where these trucking companies would then seek us out because it's a one-stop shopping.
Which would be good because of our location with the 4 states surrounding the Northeast Texas area.
It's a very, very busy highway, north-south. 24 is very busy, of course, from Dallas to the northeast, and I-30 speaks for itself. So we are in a perfect spot to do that and make that happen, and literally bring a lot of warehousing to ourselves. They would not only bring their trucks through here, but they'd also locate warehousing operations, that type of thing here. People in Mexico, the companies down there, or the companies in Canada might even stage products here, so increase our economic development as well.
This fits into Perryman's suggestions for this local area, doesn't it?
Absolutely. These are the type things and the creative thinking that Perryman suggested last year at the Chamber banquet and with the EDC that we start looking at. You got to be creative in this day and time to make sure that you continue to progress.
One more question. You mentioned the Majors field in Greenville now. Raytheon, according to Dallas Morning News business page yesterday, has sold to L3 Communications.
Process, I understand, yes.
Right. With that transition of ownership for Raytheon, do you think that this could possibly give you a little bit of leverage in opening Majors Field to a more regional style airport?
We would only hope so. It's my understanding from the folks in Hunt County that Raytheon had not been real excited about the possibility of having this extra traffic over at their industrial site. They seemed to feel like that the field is theirs. And of course, Greenville's allowed them to think that because they're such an important part of Greenville's economy. But the fact is, it's also a municipal airport, and it's there, it's already paid for, and there's no reason why we can't make that feeder airport. And maybe the new owners of the facility over there might think that same way with us. I'm sure we'll be approaching them on that.
This would be an airport that would kind of carry the tinge of an Alliance airport in Denton?
Absolutely. The development would occur around that airport similar to what Alliance has had. Plus, there'd be some, hopefully, eventually some commuter traffic for the traveling public. We'd like to see maybe 2 or 3 planes a day come in and out of there so that we can make a connection with DFW with another flight and not have to make that 120-mile drive in that traffic over in Dallas.
An art exhibition and auction benefiting the Northeast Texas Symphony League is set for Friday in the Founders Lounge of Memorial Student Center on the campus of Texas A&M University Commerce. The exhibition begins at 6 p.m., the auction at 7. There is a $10 admission fee. Frank Smith serves as president of the Sulphur Springs Symphony League and the Northeast Texas Symphony League.
The Northeast Texas Symphony Association, of which Sulphur Springs Symphony League is a part, we're in financial difficulties like everybody else in the world these days. But one of the ways that we're trying to correct our situation is through a variety of fundraising activities. And this Friday at the Founders Lounge in the Memorial Student Center at A&M in Commerce, we are sponsoring an art exhibition and auction. For anyone who cares to attend and take part, we have contracted with a gallery out of the Metroplex area, and they bring in all of the artworks, and they conduct the auction for us. And the NETSA will receive a percentage of the sales from this. And when you hear the term art auction, usually we conjure up images of, you know, expensive pieces of artwork. This, I've been told by people who have attended others of this type, that they sell from anywhere from $15 to $400 or $500 per piece. Now, this is the appraised value of these pieces are in the $500 to $5,000 range. So the exhibition or the preview is at 6 o'clock on Friday, and then the auction begins at 7. We will have refreshments and entertainment, and we charge $10 per person at the door for anyone who wants to attend. And the only reason we do that is because it helps us defray the cost. The Symphony League itself is responsible for the cost of the refreshments and the entertainment, and in this way we can defray that cost, and then whatever we make off the auction is clear. But we would like to have as many people as that room will hold, and it'll hold probably 400 people. So this is for all the leagues in Terrell, Sulphur Springs, and Commerce.
And again, it is at?
It is at the Student Memorial Center at Texas A&M University in Commerce, in the Founders Lounge, which is on the 2nd floor, directly across the hallway from the Student Activity Center.
Then the exhibition begins?
Previewing is at 6. The art will all be set up so that you can wander through and choose what you'd like to bid on. And this one works like a real professional auction, in that the things that people want to see brought up for bid, there will be a system there so that they can tag them, simply identifying them as things that there's interest in, and they'll be presented or offered for sale first, so that if you're interested in a painting or a lithograph, you won't have to wait all night to see if it's going to come up. So preview begins at 6, auction begins at 7, and everybody is invited.
For more information on the auction, call Frank Smith, 885-6515, or Catherine Hall,